Artemis delays, Jared Isaacman gets the nomination for NASA Administrator, and SpaceX is gearing up for Starship Flight 7. I hope you're ready to get spicy in this week's Flame Trench.
And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be normal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roll, planet.
Water towers, fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside FD off. Bring in FD off. Off. It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. Look at that. Put that in the big bag,
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You bet. We don't need any more of these.
Hello and welcome to another edition of NSF's Flame Trench, our weekly informal news show where we talk about the events of the week and sometimes get a little spicy. I'm Jack Beyer for NSF. Welcome. Joining me for commentary today, as always, we have a competent cohort of commentators, including this week, EJ. EJ, how you doing, good old buddy, old pal? My good chum?
I'm great, man. How are you?
I'm doing just fine, my good chum.
Right. Yeah, no, everything is good. It's good to be back. I was on vacation last week, so I wasn't here. But now I am.
Hooray.
We're here.
You do get the Futurama reference, right? That my good chum. That's like with the God Galaxy.
Of course I do, my friend.
Okay, thank
Duh.
you. Just making sure I didn't sound completely insane, just a slightly insane. Also
No,
joining
Jack,
us
bring
this
me a
week,
sandwich from the dumpster.
speaking
And
of
leave the maggots on it. Sorry, I'll stop.
speaking of slightly insane, Alex, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic. Man, just funny when he does the crossover. But
quality-
anyways, yeah.
quality Zoid burn.
Lots of things to go over today, so
Yeah, there is a lot to go over. Also, thank you to Kevin for operating the stream. I just want to call him Kevin Jan Michael Vincent, but no, it's Kevin Michael Reed. But yeah,
Please
as
do.
usual, if this is your first Flame Trench, you may not know. If you're in chat and you have any questions about what we're talking about this week, just type at NASASpaceflight, throw your question in chat there, and we'll see it pop up in some software we have running in the background. But yeah, let's just jump right into it and talk about the delays to Artemis. I mean, Senator Administrator NASA Astronaut Ballast Bill Nelson, is that all the things? I think that's all the things. Recently did a presser, and there were some delays announced, were there not?
Yeah. They there was a press conference yesterday at 1 Eastern, and Bill Nelson was on the panel. Pam Melrose was on the panel. Jim Free was on the panel. Reed Wiseman was on the panel, and Amit Krishia, I'm not going to say his last name correctly. Sorry, was there. So they basically announced that Artemis 2 mission that was slated for kind of the end of 2025 is now no earlier than May of 2026, and Artemis 3 is slipping, which was 2026, is slipping to 2027. Not the best news.
I mean, it's not super surprising, though, is it?
Yes and no. I mean, Jack, there was some stuff in there. I mean, there was a lot to learn about heat shields and stuff. But basically, NASA did figure out what was wrong with the Orion heat shield. After Artemis 1, which flew a couple of years ago, they had some serious charring problems with a heat shield, which is actually right behind me. You can actually see the charring. I got to go down. Weather guy. This right
There you
here.
go.
See that? There's a lot of charring on the heat shield because of gas permeation. That's what was going on. So the heat shield started to kind of come apart. The reason why this happened is for a number of reasons. One, the Artemis capsule coming back down skipped off the atmosphere. think like if you have a stone and you try to skip it over water. It's the same type of deal. Now, why do they skip off the atmosphere? Well, they do that to manage heat in the heat shield, right? That's what's going on there. The Apollo missions did do that as well, but this time they had part of the heat shield come apart. So what's the difference? Like, well, if Apollo figured that, dude, like we were talking about this on stream the other day on my end, because I stream over on Twitch and I do space news over there. Shameless plug for that.
Yeah, follow you on Twitch. It rules. Your Twitch rules.
Thanks.
How
man.
you do it?
Science. So we were talking about it, and the question I got asked the most was, wait a minute, isn't Orion's heat shield derived from the Apollo heat shield? It's similar. It's AVCode. It's a similar ablator. How did we do this 50 years ago and didn't have an issue with it, and now we have an issue? Well, that's why I told Kevin to put this back here today, because you see how the charring is going on here, but you notice that the heat shield here is actually a bunch of different blocks. See, It's a bunch of different blocks.
Right.
The way they decided to manufacture the heat shield is to manufacture the AVCode in segments. How the Apollo program did it was basically one contiguous piece.
It's like one
a
monolithic
honeycomb
thing, yeah.
Exactly. One continuous block over the entire heat shield. And the block looks like a little honeycomb. It looks like a beehive almost, right?
And they like fill the cells with the AVCode or what have you.
Yeah, they would manually fill every single little honeycomb, which is probably about maybe half an inch or about 25 millimeter. There was hundreds of thousands of them, and they filled them by hand.
Right.
Now,
so when Orion was coming back, it got extra spicy, is what you're saying. And in fact,
yes,
this video is from when it returned to San Diego there after Artemis 1. I don't know. I feel like I almost had more fun shooting the capsule back in San Diego than I did actually shooting Artemis 1 itself. Although, come on, shooting SLS was amazing. But I remember that day and taking photos of the heat shield and being like, I don't know if it's supposed to look like that. And there was like a minor kerfuffle on the stream and on space socials. Everyone being like, what's going on with the heat shield? And then sure enough, here we are. So. You said it was because of what was the reason for the additional charring?
So the additional charring, and I was thinking 1 inch before. 12.7 millimeter is 1/2 inch. There you go. All right, streamer math. All right, there's boy math, there's girl math, streamer math. Don't worry about it. So what's the difference here? The difference are those blocks. The Apollo heat shield was made in one big block with a bunch of little 1/2 inch, 12.7 millimeter inch honeycombs that were all injected with ablator. If you see, this is made in a bunch of different pieces. Now, the interesting thing about this here is that, EFT-1, the first Orion flight test, tested a heat shield that was basically pretty much derived exactly like the Apollo program. And it worked pretty well. And what NASA did was they looked at that and they said that was too hard to manufacture because we didn't have the industrial base to manufacture it, and opted for the blocked heat shield instead, thereby basically making Artemis 1 another kind of test flight. Okay, we switched it to blocks and we're wondering what happened here.
It's infuriating.
Right. We're going to figure out what happens here. Now, the heat shield did come apart. Now, why did it come apart? Well, with the Apollo heat shield design, you have that basically an array of honeycomb. And what happens with an ablative heat shield is that when it burns, it releases gas. Some of that gas, because there's an area of stagnation basically in front of the heat shield between the bow shock where the plasma stuff is and the actual heat shield itself. A lot of gas gets caught in there, and some of it permeates back into the heat shield. And what that was doing is creating pneumatic pressure inside of the heat shield and causing it to crack. Now, with the honeycomb design on Apollo, you didn't need to worry about that. You don't need to worry about it because the honeycomb basically mitigates any cracking that would happen. But because they'd switched from that honeycomb design in one big block on the heat shield to a bunch of smaller blocks, the ablator, the AVCode, does crack. It cracks and permeates a little bit, right? And that allows the pressure that gets caught up in the heat shield, the pneumatic pressure, causes the heat shield to delaminate. It's actually kind of similar to Flight 1, Starship Flight 1 with the concrete. It shot gas behind the fondag, like that concrete that was on the ground and basically cratered the entire pad. It's that. Very similar to that, but with re-entry heating and not concrete. Now, what is NASA's remedy for this problem? Well, on Artemis 2, the first flight of Orion, they're going to fly a slightly modified trajectory to prevent a slightly modified skip to prevent this from happening. And then for Artemis 3, they're going to redesign the heat shield so they can fly that trajectory, the trajectory that was flown on Artemis 1. So NASA's heat shield, or Orion's heat shield, once again, has to be redesigned because somebody decided to redesign it because, after validation flights, redesigning heat shields seems to be a good idea or something. Not.
I don't understand it. It makes me so angry. It's like, hey, we did all this great work. Throw it away.
And I guess EJ, one thing that we should probably talk about is why does the shorter skip reentry works versus the longer one, right? And that is in the dynamics of how that char ablation, that those pieces broke away. And so he explained, he said that essentially what happens is that you have, so there's two different things, right? Often are mixed up in common language, but in pure technical terms, they are not the same. Heat and temperature are not the same. So you have heat, which is the energy, right? That you're putting onto that heat shield material, and then you have the temperature. So what happens is that when you re-enter through the atmosphere, be it with an ablative material or a ceramic material, whatever you're going to use to re-enter the atmosphere, you have a heat, an energy being put on that material, right? Now, as the Orion capsule came out of the atmosphere on the first skip, so it re-enters, it does that first heating process, right? And so as it skips out, it stops getting heat, but the outer layer, it's hot, right? And now that temperature, all of that gets transmitted through the material down through the other layers. And as EJ was talking about, that kind of soaking of that heat, that raising temperature on the lower materials, it created gas. And so those areas that were permeable were able to liberate that gas that was being created, but the areas that were not permeable, they were essentially trapping the gas. And so when the Orion came down for the second and final reentry, because again, it's a skip reentry, right? It goes up, then goes down again into the atmosphere. On that second reentry, those places where the material had trapped that gas, that's when you had that liberation. And they actually, I'm just seeing Kevin has here one of the pictures that they showed of that side-by-side sampling of how they did they simulated. There you go. So you have the permeable material, right, on the top, and it doesn't have any liberation. And then you have the one that has the ability to trap that gas because it's not permeable. And then you have those liberations of that material because now the gas, as you come down again through the atmosphere, heats up again and liberates all of that material that is sort of the layers on top. And that is one of the problems that you have with a longer skip reentry because you allow that heat to sort of soak in a lot more. And so you may have a higher peak heating on a shorter skip reentry, but you don't let that heat to seep through the layers as much and don't create as much of that gas, and you also don't let it, pop out. And so that's why they're changing that for Artemis 2, where they're trying to mitigate the creation and also the liberation of that gas abruptly from places where they think they might have that AV code that is non-permeable. And for later heat shields, what they're doing is they're just making it so that it is permeable, so that the gas can be liberated, and so it goes out and it doesn't carry away the other layers with it.
Weirdly enough, for a heat shield, more permeable, more better. I wouldn't have expected that.
Because you have all of these gases, right? You have these chemical reactions happening on the material, so you need to liberate that. If you don't liberate it, it can actually create, as EJ was saying, right? it's like what happened during Starship's first flight, where you had all of that pressure being, accumulated there, and now it tries to get out. And when it gets out, because it's high pressure, then poof, you have a pop there, and
Creates a
so
void.
It breaks.
Yeah,
Exactly.
You don't want a void in your heat shield. That would be a bad thing. So,
Yeah.
how long did this heat shield investigation take? Like 2 years?
A long time.
God. I'm like increasingly becoming intolerant of standard space timelines. Like, I don't know. We've got a lot to talk about this episode. We're definitely going to talk about the whole Jared nom thing. We're still going to talk about more of this, but the Jared nom for NASA admin has got me, I don't know, it's got me fired up. Like, let's go. Like, what are we waiting around for? 2 years to 2 years to fix a heat shield is just not. It's just not good. I'm being told that we should check in on good old New Glenn.
New Glenn's.
Do we think that they're going to static fire today? Or, I mean, both flare stacks are going. We know a static fire is going to happen sometime. Is this just maybe some kind of testing? What's going on with old Glenny? There, I said it. I said Glenny.
No. Don't stop that. Don't do that again.
EJ? Do you
What?
Okay, well, if you don't want me to say it, then tell us what's going on. Like, do you think what sort of testing do you think they're getting into today?
Tanking and static fire, most likely. I mean, we did see them do some tankage with this thing the other day, but yeah, I mean, those flare stacks on means propellants in the tanks, and that potentially could even mean that propellant is flowing. We don't know for sure. It's not like we have the Pope vent and everything, right, to see when this thing is going to go, right?
That is kind of exciting, though. We get to gather data on a new pad and maybe learn its idiosyncrasies, start to learn its idiosyncrasies slowly over time in the same way that we do elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we don't know for sure, but if those flare stacks are going, one of those would be for LNG and the other one would be for hydrogen, which meaning that at the very least indicates that there's fuel at this pad to move to move enough hydrogen and LNG into the tanks to at least do something with it, right? Because those flare stacks only are really on when you're flowing stuff.
Yeah.
Or basically when you're flowing stuff. Because the reason why is because when you're moving propellants around, you get a lot of evaporation. They're also boiling. Liquid hydrogen's boiling, and it leaks. We know from SOS it leaks, whether you like it or not. That's why you have the flare stack there.
I don't like it.
It's going to leak whether you like. Yeah, exactly. It's going to leak whether you like it or not. And if you don't give it a place to light on fire, it will find a place to light on fire. That's probably not where you want.
Right. So you give it a place to light on fire that's nice and safe. What, Alex? Go ahead.
So, as we're talking about flare stacks, there's 3. So you see 2 on the left of the screen. One is a bit more brighter than the other.
Right.
But then there's a third to the right.
Yeah, behind
that is
the
the one that is that one is the one that is sort of making me think, like, what else do they need that for? Because those other 2 on the left, the leftmost one, I'm looking here at the satellite pictures. The one on the left is for hydrogen, and you can kind of notice because it's a much like cleaner plume, I guess.
Right. Yeah,
and then the other one,
hydrogen burns so much cleaner. A lot of times, it almost looks like it has a clear flame.
Exactly, you got that. And then the other one is for methane. So I don't know what the third one is. Like, we probably need to ask. Yeah, there you go.
That's for the party methane. I don't know. But yeah, in classic NSF fashion, we are deploying assets currently. I suspect those assets involve Max or D, or maybe it's another member of the Cape team. But either way, we're going to see if we can get a better view of Glenny in case it does decide to do a static fire tonight. And the reason we can do stuff like that and just deploy assets at the drop of a hat when there is a spaceflight activity happening, you know why? It's because of your support. So Edith, thank you for becoming a PadRat member. Ancient, what is that? Ancient Hypergeek. Thanks for becoming a PadRat member. Steve Harris also becoming a Red Team member. Thank you for that. Shiloh McKenzie. with a $5 super chat. They say, now this is the playlist of someone who appreciates space and wears kilts. See, it's not my. If you're talking about the playlist that rolls at the beginning of the show, that's not my playlist. I take no responsibility. Also, I don't.
It
like
could
it.
be.
I don't. But I mean, could it? Kevin, can I pick the music for the things? I picked the music for the intro. People seem to like that.
No.
Maybe not.
Okay.
Maybe. I mean, I wanted to get us in the Christmas spirit or the holiday spirit. So I
that's good.
downloaded holiday music for the pre-show.
I'm not. To be clear, I'm not gunning for yet more to do. I think you do a great job. So with the little music.
I mean,
things,
literally, I just typed holiday music and downloaded all the files that they gave me.
Works. Rankley, thank you for becoming for gifting a Red Team member. Matt's gifting 10 Red Team memberships. Thanks, Matt. It's always nice seeing your name pop up. The Space Pope with a $50 super chat. Thank you so much, Space Pope. Always very generous of you. Bless your reptilian-y glory. What, Space Pope has a sound effect now? Where have I been? But that's a lot of sound. We're starting to get a lot of sound effects. I don't know how long we can sustain this. Sawyer, I see you in chat. Stop it. Austin Skirvin, thank you for the $5 tip to tips.nasaspaceflight.com. They say with B-14 already the pad for testing. I'm not going to say it. Hope the strong back. You know what? We'll talk about Starship in a little bit. How about that? Ninja Decimator. Pew pew pew. Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. And Methane Man, thank you for gifting 10 Red Team memberships. Seriously, let's keep our eyes on Glenny and see what happens. And once again, thank you all for your support because we can do cool stuff with all the support.
Like cool sound effects.
Yeah, right? Okay, no, let's talk about this though. We're talking about Artemis, we're talking about Orion, and we're talking about Glenny. Here's a question from Own Madman 05 asking, given how much the Artemis missions have been pushed back, at what point would it be faster to use a current launch system with known technology and orbital assembly? Something like maybe, I don't know, Orion on a New Glenn? Question mark? Is that name? No?
Will that really help anything? We were talking about Orion being the problem for Artemis 2.
That's, fair.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to sip my drink. You guys, have you thoughts?
All right, let me collect my thoughts here.
I want to hear your thoughts.
Oh no! Now I've
fight.
Now, the
fight.
pressure.
You know
The pressure.
This means I have time to drink my soup. Go.
All right. I'm not sure what putting Orion on New Glenn is going to solve if you're going to get rid of SLS. I honestly maybe potentially switch SLS to like cargo only, like a Block 1B cargo with a 10-meter fairing, and then use New Glenn in like an Ares 1 style fashion and do Earth orbit rendezvous. To be honest, I'd be kind of on board with that. That's actually pretty good because guys, you got to remember, SLS ain't the bottleneck no more. SLS can move into operations. It's not the bottleneck. It's not. All the pieces are there at the Cape, ready to go. The only pieces that are not ready are the pieces where somebody decided after a good flight test to change the design because it was too hard to make. I have thoughts about that. I have thoughts about that, but we'll put that off to the side for a second. That could be a good case, but the question: what point would be faster to use a current launch system with known technology and orbital assembly? Well, New Glenn is really the only one I can really think of that would be able to move this Orion into low Earth orbit. New Glenn has 45 metric ton payload capacity. Vulcan VC6, maybe. In my armchair rocket scientist opinion, it would be close. Orion's heavy. It is a heavy capsule.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, oh, why don't we just use Dragon for Artemis, etc. It's like, it's not, I don't know, maybe Dragon could be outfitted to do moon stuff. Who knows? Never say never. SpaceX is crazy, and who knows what they're cooking.
Right.
That said, Dragon was built as a low Earth orbit taxi, right, to get to and from the ISS and to bring cargo to and from the ISS. So It's just not for that. And Orion, by comparison, is way bigger and way heavier because you're not going to want to go to the moon in a compact car. You're going to want to take an SUV. You're going to want to take a little minibus if you can take a minibus instead of a little compact car.
Or rather, take the SUV and fill it with a lot of supplies and radiation shielding and everything. Because later, at the end of the day, when Orion is fitted with everything and all of the, because it needs to get to the moon, and there's not a station yet out there to say, hey, we have like a year's worth of supplies here, right? So it needs to carry also its supplies for the mission and whatnot. So then it becomes a little bit more cluttered and whatnot. But still, you have an SUV, right? Whatever, like a big car. About this, as I was saying, just launching it in another way, it will not solve the heat shield issue, right? And as you were saying, any other alternative still means you need work. Like, I feel like a lot of people, and this is like, I can totally understand that, right? Me, myself, I also want things to happen super quickly, but even at the quickest that we've seen, for example, with SpaceX, right? They are arguably the fastest of every other company out there, right? It still takes time, and so any modification that you propose needs to be done now. Like, you need to start already on a bunch of these things, and as we will talk soon, probably, it's been tried before. It's a thing that has been proposed in the past, and when it was proposed, it was just rejected, and that was 6 years ago. If it had been done then, maybe, but now we're stuck with what we're stuck, right? So, what to do? I have no idea. Thankfully, I'm not the guy in charge.
Hold on,
nor
a second,
about
Alex.
to be the guy in charge.
What do you just refresh my memory for a second? What are you saying? What would have changed 6 years ago? What would we have changed? Just curious. I missed that part.
I'm mostly referencing Jim Bridenstine in 2018, saying in Congress, just, he waltz out there and saying, hey, what about we launch Orion on a Falcon Heavy and launch it to the moon and stuff like that. And I know this is not along those lines, but I'm more talking broadly here about proposals to do Artemis, right? With things that are not traditional contractors and stuff like that. Like, this is a topic that if you want a landing on the moon in, say, 2 years from now, because you want to really, really, really quickly, you need to work now. Or 6 years ago, right? This is something that takes time. Again, even by SpaceX standards, it takes time. And we've seen that with Starship. Like, 4 years ago, they were launching SN8. And so, almost to the day, actually. And so, there's been a lot of progress in 4 years. It's really amazing, the progress. But still, there's a bunch of other things left to get to this. Right? Which is why I chose it as my background, because I want to remind people this is going to be bringing people to the moon. Right?
God,
So there's a lot of and I get I want to put it in perspective. This, like, I'm not saying, oh, this is never going to happen. I'm just going to say this is going to take a lot of effort, guys, because it's a really complex machine. And so it's not going to be just, slap your fingers and it's going to be done, right? And so
that makes sense.
If we do things, they need to be done now. That's my
ideally years and years ago.
Now, fellas, hold up real quick. I got a question.
What's up?
Alex, you're saying, it would, commercial could potentially be better. The sooner we do it, the better. We have this whole thing with commercial, right? Like,
not exactly that. It was more like, if you want that kind of thing to happen, you need to start now. Otherwise, you're not going to have it in the time frames that a lot of people are wanting this to happen. So,
I see what you're saying. Cool. Yeah. No, I was trying to segue in it, but I suppose I'll just bring up a new topic here. Like, clearly, the thing with all these delays, right? the delays to Artemis is because of an infrequent flight rate. And I see a lot of people going off in the chat saying, these legacy contractors are just milking the government. I want to bring this topic in because it is slightly pertinent. Do you, chat, and Jack, Alex, feel free to chime in. Do you guys think that the reason why we have such a low frequency of flight and why this stuff ends up seemingly costing millions of dollars, do you think that's because, the contractors are holding NASA hostage? Or is it because NASA really hasn't had a good goal? They don't have a concrete enough program.
I mean,
I think the policy is really the driver here, to be honest. I mean, what do you think?
I think you're not far off the mark. Honestly, I don't completely chalk it up to maliciousness, on the part of contractors. In terms of like somebody in chat, sorry, I forget your name, was like, do you think the whole switching the heat shield was like just milking it for more cash kind of thing? And not necessarily, but a contractor is going to be like, oh no, more money. Yes, we'll change the heat shield after already flying it. Like, but yeah, I think a part of it is lack of vision. Because I'm sorry, like Artemis is a cool program, and I'm not saying it should be canceled or anything like that. But Artemis as an outgrowth of Constellation, as a replacement for the shuttle, like it's all just sort of been this nebulous thing for a long time. So yeah, lack of clear goal or lack of vision, I think is part of it. Although that has been solved, I think, in large part since the Artemis program was announced. Although I would argue that it's way too scattershot. There's way too much going on with Artemis that should be simplified. That said, I do think, like I understand the sentiment, right? Because it's programmy and keep the workforce, active and that, that sort of thing. So I get the sentiment, but no, and I think also part of it is Congress, right? Like Congress has to give NASA the money that they need to accomplish a high flight rate, and they simply haven't done that. And you're right, EJ. A high flight rate solves a lot of problems. Hey, how did SpaceX go from launching like no in-house satellites to literally the most of anybody? It's partially through a high flight rate. If each individual satellite you make is this bespoke jewel and it's one-off and it costs $1 billion, then you lose that satellite. That's a big deal. If you make a whole bunch of little hockey pucks and you just spit them out into orbit nonstop, hey, if 20 of them go kaput because the thing was bad on them, guess what? You just learned that thing is bad, and the next 20 will be fine. And you just repeat that process over and over and over again. So yeah, I do wish the program, like SLS and Artemis in general, had a higher flight rate, because I do feel like that would solve a lot of problems. You know what? Fly them, switch it back, switch it to a monolithic heat shield, switch it back again. I don't care. If you're flying 4 times a year, you've got the flight rate to support all kinds of testing. And then that means you get a more robust vehicle, you get more safety for the humans that are going to be riding this thing and betting their life on it. Yeah, we have a lot of really good questions too about this. So I do want to get to those in chat. Keep them coming because they are awesome. But Alex, if you have any thoughts here, jump in, and then we'll run some questions, because we're already like 40 minutes into the show.
I'm Glennie now. You have the shirt of Glennie, and I have Glennie here right in front of me. But yeah, as you were saying, it's just there's multiple facets here to take into account, right? It's policy, right, at the end of the day, because a bunch of the decisions on how we got to this point with SLS and Orion and whatnot, we got here because there was a bunch of decisions of using this hardware and how to use it. Even like it's literally in the law, and things like how much mass it needs to launch into low Earth orbit, etc., etc. All of that is in the NASA Authorization Act from back then.
Remember when it was mandated that SLS had to launch the Europa Clipper?
Oh, that too. So there's part of policy. There's part of, I guess it's kind of policy as well, but it's also the contracting, right? Like it's cost plus versus fixed price. I
just really think it keeps coming back to.
I know. EJ
Congress
is looking at me like because he made the case recently about, cost plus sometimes makes sense or something like that.
It does.
Yeah,
I'm not one of those people that's like no cost
yeah,
plus ever.
exactly.
I think for the most part, you should pick the contract that's right or pick the style of contract that's right for each individual case. But cost plus has been abused. Like it's been like seriously abused.
Yeah,
because there's no policy. There's no policy to state it. A cost plus contract is something when you need to procure something that you don't know how to make in a very short period of time. Right. That second part is really important, guys.
Right.
It's the second part is really important, or else you're going to incentivize a contractor to just waste money. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go.
You can only pick two. Sorry, talking over you there a little bit, buddy.
No, it's all good, dude. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and so what I'm going to is, for the side of policy, you can even go back to like the 80s and things like that, because at one point there were even plans to do a bunch of these things of going back to the moon and et cetera, and it was not done. And it only happened because it was decided to retire the space shuttle, and then it was like, well, what are we gonna do with all of these contractors? Let's put up another program, right? So, Constellation happened, and then it was canceled. The contracts went over to SLS and Orion again, of course. That's how it happens. And so, policy is a big, in my opinion, at the very least, it's one of the big things that drove us to where we are. And this might be a very unpopular opinion, but this is all Apollo's fault. Because ever since all of these missions were proposed originally, it was just proposed as an Apollo on steroids and just throw money at the problem. Let's try something like the 60s where we just throw money at the problem and it gets solved. And that's not how you do things, especially after all the things that happened after Apollo. Not just NASA, but government contracting in general. Look at the defense, for example, programs and whatever.
I mean, it does seem like everything, whether it's aerospace or defense, like timelines for everything since I don't know what, the 50s, 60s, 70s. It's like it takes 30 years to get a new fighter jet built, or it takes I don't even know how long it's been for the the new variant of the 787 is like many years delayed. It takes time now to do these things. I don't know. Let's do some questions. We have a lot of questions. Well, first off, we have a lot of commenters saying that NASA's waiting on SpaceX. I don't agree with that. What do you think? Well, Alex, you go first. Do you think NASA's waiting on SpaceX because SpaceX is so far behind with their contract? Like, no way, right?
As much as I've said that this is challenging to build and everything, I think with this might not even be a problem anymore, given the timelines. I could make another rant about that, but yeah, I don't think HLS will really hold up the Artemis 3 or the lunar lander. Right now, you have the heat shield.
EJ, go on.
Orion.
No, somebody's chat is confused about heat shield ablation versus heat shield fracturing and charring. I'll explain it again, just in case I wasn't clear here. You want this to burn. You don't want it to do that. See right here? See where my pointer finger is? See where that chunk is missing? That's bad. That means your heat shield is doing something that you didn't expect it to do.
Yeah, you want it to
deviant engineering.
That want it to burn away in a predictable, measurable, stable, steady fashion. You don't want it to create pockets and voids of gas that then cause chunks of the material to come off far more than is actually supposed to be liberated in the first place. That's a problem.
Yeah, no, that's not good. And if you're gonna say like, oh, it made it through just fine. We'll do it again. It'll probably be fine. Well, yeah, let's launch SRBs with 2 redundant O-rings in the cold. It'll probably be fine.
Right.
It'll probably be fine.
Right.
Here, let's use this external tank that has a bunch of foam delaminating because it's scrubbed 6 times. Let's launch people on it. It'll be fine. That's not how you do engineering at all. No. Yeah. That allowing that deviance is going to get someone hurt. You can't get around that. If you try, someone's going to wind up hurt. No.
Right.
Bad
EJ,
chat. Don't do that again.
on that same similar note, that like you put the example of Challenger, right, with the oil rings, and I've seen some concerns of people, even former NASA astronauts, saying, this is a problem and this is a concern and whatever. Talking also back to the safety culture and the normalization of deviance. This that they've done with Artemis 2 is not flying Challenger again. This is saying, okay, the oil rings get stiff at cold temperatures. Let's just not fly at cold temperatures, right? Like, let's wait for warmer weather. Let's change our mission. And in this case, it is changing the reentry path so that this char ablation doesn't happen. Like, it just ablates much more what you expected rather than an unexpected result, right? The long-term change, which can also be compared to what happened with Challenger, which was they changed the O-ring seal. Instead of being 2, it was 3. They also changed a little bit the geometry, so it was a little bit better, etc., more redundant and whatnot. So in the future, starting with Artemis 3, that heat shield will change. It'll have a more permeable avcoat mixture. So, like, going back to the whole safety stuff, this is not like Challenger. They're not doing that. They're just saying, look, it's going to get cold. Let's just wait, right? Which is what might have been the good decision to do, right? With Artemis 2, they're saying, let's just not fly our reentry. Like, if it does something that we don't expect, let's get away from that. We don't want that. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right,
well,
let's do
me
some
get
questions.
the spray bottle out, Chad. I'll do it. No.
Vaquero is asking, is anyone honestly surprised at the delays? Nope. Anybody? Bueller?
I could have saw it coming. Look at the time, the one time when the president-elect was president and actually gave them a date and a deadline, stuff started falling into place and we started seeing a test flight get on the books. Right. Okay. That test flight was a little bit behind, but it still happened. And then after that, 3 years ago, they were like, we'll delay it to 2025, even though it was supposed to be in 2024, right? There's no accountability there. This is what I mean about policy. You have to have a date. The date, if you have a date and you have accountability there, and you have to, even if you're a little bit late, you still took the impossible in SpaceX terms and made it late, right? Elon is saying we've been going to the moon we're going to go to Mars for like 10 years, okay? He says we're going to do it in 2 years, 10 years ago. He said it again like a couple months ago. And don't get me wrong, like, here's the thing. Yeah, you could say like, oh, he's not, he hasn't done it yet. Huh? But has anybody else gotten any closer? No,
nope,
not even close. Right? Like, yeah. I could have seen this delay coming from a mile away. Like, there's no urgency. There's no urgency there. Right. And it's just the other thing that they said is like, don't worry, despite these delays, we're still going to probably beat China there, which I'm sorry, guys. Like, all right, that's cringe. Stop. NASA, stop. I'm going to get the spray bottle out.
It's unfortunate that will probably be used as a justification for increasing NASA's budget, but like the Machiavellian in me is like, well, bigger budget. I mean, I really do think a lot of the ills are, you're right, it's policy. It's also, I think, funding. Because Congress just doesn't give NASA the money that they need to. And everyone's like, why are we spending so much money on NASA? And it's like, bro, do you even understand what a fraction of a percent of the budget that NASA actually gets compared to previous years or like the Apollo years and all of the stuff that they're doing on that minuscule little budget? It's infuriating. I do want to do some more questions. Chris Lundy is asking, please help us understand how these new Artemis milestones are achievable with the current state of Starship. How can it possibly finish development and achieve human rating by then? I mean, buddy, 4 or 5 years ago, SpaceX was flying SN8, and we're coming up on the 7th flight test of Starship. Yeah. I really do think Starship is not the long pole here. Like, yes, it's incredibly complex. Yes, orbital refilling needs to be figured out. Yes, they need to launch an HLS test demo. I believe at the end of 2025, they want to launch like a long duration coast mission for Starship as part of the HLS milestones for NASA. So there's a lot to do, but I mean, SpaceX moves fast, I think is the easiest answer there. Plus, they already have Dragon, so they can take all they learned with Dragon Eclipse, with station ops, with astronaut ops, and plug that into Starship. And you better believe, despite us not seeing this stuff, like we get to see things at Starbase on the regular, they're working on it. I mean, they're working on the elevator, they're working on the docking adapter, they're working on the HLS ship. I wouldn't be surprised if there's HLS ship parts inside the Star Factory right now. I would not be shocked. I think we're that close. Maybe I'm huffing the SpaceX whatever, but that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. I don't know, Alex. Do you think? What do you think? I mean, we've kind of beaten this one to death a little bit, but Starship not long pull is the summary.
I want to mention the good news because there were good news yesterday. Okay, like let's not. Can we like do it like a swipe kind of thing and then be like good news?
No swipes. No, we're not doing swipes.
There you go.
Hard cuts only.
Good
news, everyone.
All right.
Good news, everyone. What? I had to do it. So the thing is, in between all of these news, now that Artemis 2 is sort of like no earlier than April 2026, Amit on the conference on the Q&A, he said something that is very, very interesting, and it's essentially down to potentially having Artemis 2 being sort of like trying to test the CONOPS, as they are called, which is a concept of operations between Starship and Orion. That may not mean both of them meeting in space, but at least wanting to at least have simultaneous launches so that they could test and train for when they do that on Artemis 3, because they need to launch this thing into lunar orbit and then meet, Orion needs to launch and meet with Starship around the moon. And so they want to at least have, some capacity there, especially also like the communications between Orion and Starship, because Orion needs to dock to Starship. And so Starship will be fitted with a lot of communication systems so that Orion can find it and everything, and all the Orion for Artemis 2 does not have any docking hardware, so in theory they will not be able to dock to each other, but you could in theory rendezvous between both if Starship were to be ready by then and Artemis 2 doesn't delay that much further down the line. So that's great. Like, I think that's really exciting news in my opinion, because that means we could see really incredible views of that Starship, like from a human being clicking on a camera outside of a window and seeing a Starship in orbit. Like, how cool is that? I don't know.
That's gonna be amazing. No, that's gonna be amazing. That's a really good point. I'm super excited for that. The sheriff of Patties is asking, realistically, do you think anyone is getting to the moon before 2030? Oh yeah, AJ, what do you think?
Yeah, even if our Artemis goes on its delayed, awful flight cadence trajectory, it'll do it.
I would agree.
Barely, but it'll do it. But who knows? I mean, the news that we're going to discuss a little bit later, maybe sooner.
Alex?
Yeah, before 20. Yeah, I'm positive.
Let's see, a couple more. Zach Holmes is asking, why not just transfer astronauts from Orion or a different vehicle, I'm adding that part, to the HLS vehicle in low Earth orbit? Why do we have to dock around the moon?
What problem does that solve?
You still have to come from a
capsule coming back at a lunar trajectory.
Oh, you could do that, but you're going to use an SLS to get Orion into low Earth orbit?
I mean, I even think like launch crew on a Dragon, dock with a Starship in low Earth orbit, take Starship to the moon, land, come back up. I guess the question is, how much propellant would Starship need to orbit the moon after landing on it versus coming back to a low Earth orbit after landing on the moon. Maybe it just doesn't have the propellant margins. I don't actually know.
I don't think it does, dude. There's no, yeah.
So
I
either
mean,
way,
especially if
Rendezvous would probably have to be in lunar orbit versus low Earth orbit.
Yeah.
I have a proposal.
Shoot.
Oh
gonna-
God!
All right, let's hear it.
What's the
I'm gonna go
proposal?
full SpaceX maxing here and say, just
SpaceX maxing.
launch an
Nice.
HLS to the moon. Yeah, launch an HLS to lunar orbit. Launch a regular Starship with crew on board all the way to lunar orbit. Rendezvous with a lander, land with a lander, go up to lunar orbit, then come back with the Starship, go through re-entry and land.
I mean, that would be sick. That's
Because you
I
don't
still
need
think it's
any.
gonna be.
Oh, I need to go into low Earth orbit. No, you just
Right.
do direct re-entry.
I feel like it's going to be a long time before we see humans re-entering on a Starship. I can't wait. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like I don't know. What do you just quick back of the envelope guesses? Like, what do you think? How long until humans ride a Starship back to Earth from orbit? EJ, go.
2028.
28?
Yep.
4 years.
Dude, think about how many times the TPS will be tested by then. In the last
4
18
years.
months, we've seen it tested 6 times.
Yeah.
That's enough to do significant revamps. Dude, I'm telling you, every entry, descent, and landing of Starship is invaluable data that you cannot test for down here. Those reentries, getting a live shot of those reentries from Starlink, you cannot. Dude, that data is
treasure
worth its
trove.
weight.
Only
Yeah,
we had
you-
had 6 Orion re-entries, right?
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Flight data,
Stop with the
flight data
knives
is
in my
king.
heart.
Flight data is king. You can't get around it. Some of this stuff you just can't test for on the ground. There's no arc jet big enough to be able to test entire entry, descent, and landing on a heat shield.
That's
Right,
also
there's
part of
nothing
the
we do.
policy problem that I mentioned before, because a lot
Well,
of these things
yeah.
were not mandated. Like they put a mandate for other things, but not, hey, launch,
You can
I
give
don't
them
know,
something to
minimum
do.
of 10 times a year. Like, if SLS and Orion were to launch 10 times a year, it's not Starship levels of crazy cadence, but that's even more than the shuttle, and that's like more than Saturn V. Like,
Yeah.
that's a lot of launches, right?
Well,
Like-
Alex, I would say that 4 times for SLS a year is enough. And the shuttle launched 9 times in 1985, by the way.
Hey.
It's not fast.
That's
Yeah,
why I said
whatever you-
10.
Obligatory shuttle reference
Yeah.
complete.
Yeah.
We can check
Yeah,
that
shuttle,
one
Chris,
off.
Chris is like shuttle.
Let's see.
Wait.
Shuttle, Venture Star, X-33, horses,
Yorkshire.
football, like with the round one, not the oblong throw egg. Yeah.
I
There you
like
go,
the
Chris.
throw egg.
We love you, Chris.
Well, yeah, that's. But anyway, to bring us back on track, Starship's gonna have, dude. They're gonna. It's only a matter of time before SpaceX dials in that heat shield, and I think that speaks to a larger. Alex, your proposal for architecture speaks to a larger thing at play here. There's gonna be a day of reckoning, right? Because when Starship gets human rated, why do we have Orion?
Yep. Yeah, good point.
That's what I've been saying is that you know Orion exists right now. If you fly it more, you could have the potential of having 2 ways to get to the moon, not 1.5. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. All right, so that brings us to Rankley asking the $1 million question: do you think the Artemis program gets canceled? No way. No way. Does it see major changes? Almost certainly. Canceled? Absolutely
You
not.
have to. You have to change it, dude. There's
EJ, I'm getting flashbacks to like what 2, 3, 4 weeks ago when you were like, simplify. Let's go. And that's
'Cause you
part of
have
the
to.
reason why the announcement of Jared Isaacman getting the nom for NASA admin is so dang exciting. We're going to talk about that in a second. I got like 2 more. I've got like a couple more. Come on, a couple more.
really good
Artemis
questions, really good support, guys.
Yeah,
We appreciate it. Thank
We've
you.
been getting some good ones, and I know we've been talking about this for like an hour already, and I like to keep things moving. But this is the important conversation, especially in light of Jared's appointment or nomination, I should say. Horizon Space says that NASA can't get rid of Orion because ESA. Oh, I'm supposed to say ESA, aren't I?
Yes.
Which is the right one? I never remember.
Just like you say NASA, it's ESA.
Okay, thank you.
It's not
NASA-
NASA.
Okay, yeah. Horizon Space says NASA can't get rid of Orion because ESA is producing the Orion service module.
You said
Yeah,
ESA.
fair point. Yeah, that was on purpose. That was just for you. It was just for you, good buddy. It was just for you.
Just like IFT.
Oh, stop it. It's Starship flight test integer. There's no Ryan is right. Ryan got a lot of shade on Twitter for that.
I'm on Ryan's camp, but if you start saying ESA, I'm just gonna say IFT.
All right, that's fair. We can have a truce. Nina is asking. Well, no, we'll wait for that one. I don't know how to say this person's name, but they're asking, is there a potential to see a firm timeline set and actually adhered to for Artemis? Do we think that's do we think we're going to see this timeline hold? Do we think maybe we get an alternate timeline in the coming months or years and we see that one hold? Do you think this stuff keeps slipping because of the age-old stupid idiom that I hate? Space is hard. I hate that so much.
Yeah, space is hard, so let's fly less. Yeah, great solution.
Hard thing, hard. Not going to do it a lot. Like, what is it?
Dude, it killed me. You know, they said in that Artemis interview, you know, we aren't we can't make it exactly like Apollo because we don't have the industrial base and it's too hard. What did Apollo have? Did they? Oh yeah, they had the Avcode ablative industrial base before that. Yeah, sure. Right. Sure, they had that. Yeah, yeah. In 1961, they were like, "Yeah, we know how to make this heat shield. It's no problem. It's been done before."
Yeah, it's like they were just inventing stuff wholesale and solving problems left and right, and now it's like we know how to solve the problems. It's just it's hard. It takes too much money.
I think a firm timeline would definitely help things, but it's gonna take a long time to right this ship. But it starts with firm deadlines. You have to. That's the only way to get a government space program working is have a set goal and deadlines. Apollo is empirical. Apollo, Gemini, and Mercury are empirical evidence to this. Right? Every time NASA hasn't set a deadline, shuttle program, Constellation was doing okay until they decided to not give it money.
Even arguably Venture Star.
Yeah, there you go. Every time you have to set a deadline, you have to adhere to that deadline. Even if you miss by a little bit, it's still better than just saying, "Man, we might go to an asteroid."
Like, maybe imagine if the X-33 was being built at a time where it had a hard deadline, like, hey, we're stopping flying shuttle, get this thing ready to go. You've got X number of years. When they got to the point where they canceled it because of the hydrogen tank issue, the composite hydrogen tank, they wouldn't have canceled it because of that, because they wouldn't have been able to cancel it because they would have had a hard deadline and like, well, we're retiring. I'd go down that rabbit hole.
I think also another part of this is, you know, when Apollo, that deadline happened, was also because it was at least somewhat achievable. I don't know if you guys like the whole reason Kennedy went to that decision of like before the end of the decade.
Right. It was because that was what we could do that would outclass, like that's something we could actually beat the Soviets at.
There was this whole study that was sent to him precisely saying we can do this. Maybe 1967. That was what he was told, right? And so he said, you know, before the decade is out. It's a couple of years later down the line. We're keeping a little bit of leeway. So like, yeah. It's still an achievable goal, but you know, also bold, as you were saying.
Yeah. Neil is asking, are we saying defund NASA? No, absolutely not. I think if anything, we're saying give NASA way more money, double NASA's budget, triple it. I don't care,
Jack.
In fact, I do care. Please.
I don't think NASA needs an increase in funding. The SLS program over the last 14 years, well, give or take 14 years, has cost us $93 billion. The money's there. The direction isn't.
Yeah,
the money's there.
Your point's taken. I just know that a lot of the times when we see slips to like SLS or what have you, it's because NASA allocated less money up front and tried to get away with backfilling that money later on, and then that just causes...
It's not even that. SLS was flat funded. It It was flat funded. They said, we're just going to give you $20 billion every year for the next 10 years. That's it. The thing about it is that you're developing a super heavy launch vehicle. Spreading the cost around like that is an awful way. Like flat funding it is a terrible way to fund a space program. A space program needs it doesn't actually need a lot of money up front when you're in the design phase, when you're going through preliminary design
Right.
into
It's like a
critical
bell
design.
curve. You need money to ramp. You need money to ramp production. Yeah.
So SLS actually started overfunded, and then a year in started to really underperform because they wouldn't allocate the right cost to it. And now, right now, it's just still flat funded. Right, as you're moving into operations, you should be on the end of that proverbial bell curve, right? And now that they're moving into operations, right, you're starting to get to that point of overfunding again.
Yeah. Leah is asking, this is a fair question. Why do you/we expect NASA to have a specific deadline, but it's okay for Elon to say we're going to Mars in 2 years for the past 10 years? Okay, A, he hasn't been saying we're going to Mars in 2 years for 10 years. It's probably more like, I don't know, 4, 5. So,
that was hyperbole on my part,
yeah,
guys. I'll admit.
But hyperbole, it has its root in truth, and it makes sense. But why is this okay? Because I think in part, at least in the space community, the people who know, they have their sort of finger on the pulse of what's going on. It's like Steve Jobs, right? Steve Jobs had the reality distortion field. Elon very much, I think, more than any other prominent business figure other than Steve, has a reality distortion field, and he can say things like, we're going to Mars in 2 years, and it can be plausibly believable sometimes. But the point is when you have ambitious deadlines, you achieve ambitious goals. When you have lame deadlines, does that fire up your workforce? No. Does that fire up your individual person's desire to come into work and really give it their all? No. So I think we forgive the highly optimistic. What is it, Alex?
Well, that was getting changed to my feed.
No, I know.
Complete
What
your
is it?
thoughts.
No. What? Something about New Glenn, right?
No. But we're gonna talk about that soon. Continue your thoughts.
No, I'm completely derailed. What? You're holding your finger up. I wanted to see what you had to say.
It's because of this question. So, the whole deal is you have two different organizations. You have a private contractor, private company, versus a government agency. As I was saying, when Kennedy set up the Before the Decade South thing, that was an achievable goal, but it was bold as well, right? When Elon set his goals, he just wants to motivate the workforce, as you were saying, which is a completely different thing. The problem is when NASA tries to put a bold, motivating goal that is completely unachievable, then things like Artemis happen. In 2019, the landing date for HLS, or what was later known as HLS, was brought forward from 2028 to 2024. Right. What happened? Well, it's 2024. We have not landed anything on the moon right now, or anyone, I guess, I should say. And was that a problem of the contractors not being up to spec? No, the contractors proposed things. It was Blue Origin, Dynetics, and then you also have SpaceX as well. All of them proposed these landers for a potential, very optimistic 2024 deadline that was never going to be met. That's one of the things. It was unachievable because the original studies that NASA made a year beforehand said 2028. But they brought that forward to 2024, and here we are. And I'm saying all of this because I've seen comments in the chat about that as well. I'm so tired of seeing so many of these videos debunked. Starship cannot meet NASA's contract and blah 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 and all that stuff. And
game over.
It's not that. Yeah, game over.
It's so weird. In the same way that there's a whole sort of cottage industry of people like us at NSF who cover spaceflight and Starbase specifically, there's also a whole cottage industry of just hate people, just haters. Just people who just want to make people mad and appeal to the Elon rage machine, which, Hey, wait, I know something that'll cheer me up. Come here. Come on. Come on. Oh, it's a
Oh.
dog.
Doggo.
Like it says hi. All right. Okay. Puppy.
Hello.
All right. Okay. We got show to do. We got a show to do. You're a good girl. All right. Let's move on. Now that we had a little bit of a chaser there, a little puppy chaser. Good girl.
Palate cleanse.
Right. Activity is
getting-
ramping up at Pad 36. Jerry Pike says. Thanks to Jerry for getting this out there. Multiple flare stacks are burning as New Glenn sits on the pad, ready for its static fire. Hooray! Yeah, so keeping our eyes on it. I believe D is also rolling out right now as well to try and get us some additional views. So all eyes are on Glenny tonight. We'll keep that little pip down there in the bottom right so we can keep our eyes. Everyone can see that, right? That's not just me?
I can see it.
Cool. All right, well, let's move on to the next topic of discussion. I know we kind of camped on that one for a while, but it's pertinent, right?
Mhm.
Because we
Needs to
got
be
this
said.
week the amazing. I don't know how. I mean, how do you even preface this? I haven't been this excited for the Starship program or for the future of spaceflight in general since, like, I don't know, SN8, Starship Flight 1, Hopper.
They caught a booster.
Yeah. Also, yeah, good call. Flight 5. It's truly like it could not be. Your head tilted in perfect unison with the sound effect. It was great. That's like the meme where the cat opens its mouth and the car horn honks. Anyways, it makes me happy to see that Jared Isaacman of Polaris program fame has gotten the nomination for the next NASA administrator. So much to unpack here, and we already have a whole bunch of good questions in chat here. So chat, keep those coming as we talk about this. Immediately right off the bat, I think that this could not, like, this is my own personal opinion here. I don't think they could have possibly picked a better candidate. Jared knows intimately what's going on in the spaceflight world right now. Obviously, he's been to space twice. He knows how to get things done. He's very pragmatic. He's very, visionary. Like, when you hear him speak, it's just like, oh, okay, he's got a head on his shoulders, and he's got sort of a plan and an idea of how to get things done and what things should be. Like, oh, I don't know, maybe a clear vision.
Jack, didn't you talk to him?
Policy.
Wait a minute, haven't you talked to this guy?
Yeah, no, I've flown in the Polaris program jets along with Jared. Like, I flew in formation with Jared. Jared was in the MiG. I was in an Alpha jet. Like, I've flown in formation with the nomination for the next NASA administrator. Like, what?
It's pretty good, man.
Like, I would hope that Jared would consider me a friend. I mean, I consider him a friend. It's like kind of acquaintances, but still, like, it's, yeah. What is this timeline that we live in? And I'm not saying these nice things about him and my opinion of this nomination just because I know him and because I consider him a friend. I'm saying these things because we want to see someone in charge of NASA who is going to shepherd it through the next 4 years, and do so with the vigor and intelligence and passion for spaceflight that we would all hope from a NASA administrator. But that's me just sort of rambling off the top of my head. We have Jared's statement here. Quote, "I am honored to receive President Trump's nomination to serve as the next administrator of NASA. Having been fortunate enough to see our amazing planet from space, I am passionate about America leading the most incredible adventure in human history. On my last mission to space, my crew and I traveled farther from Earth than anyone in over half a century. I can confidently say this second space age has only just begun." Right? It really does feel like, second space age, second golden era of spaceflight. Let's go. I'm just hyped up reading this. Space holds an unparalleled potential for breakthroughs in manufacturing, right? Biotechnology, right? Mining, right? And perhaps even pathways to new sources of energy. There will be inevitably... Huh?
Oh, sorry.
Nuclear fusion.
I mean, sure, yeah. Orbital solar, I don't care. Just get the solar panels out of my beautiful desert. There will inevitably be a thriving... Jared continues. There will inevitably be a thriving space economy, one that will create opportunities for countless people to live and work in space. Let's go. At NASA, we will passionately pursue these possibilities and usher in an era where humanity becomes a true spacefaring civilization. I mean, hype. I was born after the moon landings. My children were born after the final space shuttle launch. With the support of President Trump, I can promise you this: we will never again lose our ability to journey to the stars and never settle for second place. We will inspire children, yours and mine, to look up and dream of what is possible. Americans will walk on the moon and Mars, and in doing so, we will make life better here on Earth. I more than anything, and there's a lot in this statement to love, more than anything, that particular line, let's go to space and let's do so in order to make life on Earth better. That's, I mean, anytime anyone's like, why are you wasting all this money on spaceflight? It's like, you understand how much better our life is on Earth because we go to space, right? Like, do you like satellite imagery on your mapping app? Do you like, I don't know, accurate weather reports? Do you like, I don't know, any number of biomedical advancements that have taken place over the last, however many decades? Hello, McFly. I feel like I'm just shouting a lot, but
we need to make like a tree off this planet and get out of here.
I don't know, EJ. What was your reaction? I mean, I know mine was essentially, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, and it was like the Office gif where they're spraying the champagne and everyone's running around. Like that was just my soul that day.
So, you know what? When I first saw this, I was like, wait, you can do that? Wait a minute. You can do this? You can get this done? Like, that's a thing? You could pick him? I mean, it's kind of out of left field, and I'm kind of about it. That's pretty good. I thought maybe Jim would get another consideration.
Which would have been good, to be fair.
No,
but
that would have been fine. Right?
I think we all, in our everyday lives, whether it's spaceflight or anything else, I think we're all sick of more of the same. It's 2024. And I know we're not going to get flying cars tomorrow, but like, we're all sick and tired of the same old, same old. Let's get some real meaningful, different people involved and get some real meaningful progress getting humans to be a spacefaring civilization. Let's not just sit around and do the same crappy, slow stuff over and over and over and expect different results and expect to inspire people. I mean, that's not inspiring. What's inspiring to people? Rapid progress. Saying, hey, kids out there right now, if you're even watching this, there is a high likelihood that you will get to live and work on either the moon or Mars, if you so choose. How cool is that? How inspiring is that? That's amazing. What's funny? Alex?
What I'm just seeing in the back channel. You're gonna read it later.
Okay.
I'm not touching that one, man. I'm not touching. You guys are nuts.
We'll hit support here in a little bit.
Do you want chat to implode? Let's not do that.
go off, King.
Not about that. Not about that.
Yeah, no.
I think Rook is a good idea, and I think he's going to bring in the. That's a really good idea. He's going to bring in this management style that I think NASA needs. Should NASA be run by a company? No. Would it be? The other thing is, like, you really kind of need your NASA administrator to be fluent
pragmatic?
in politics. Yeah, pragmatic too. Sure, no doubt. You need to be fluent in politics. That's something that's the kind of the reason why Jim did well. That's why, because he could speak the language, which it sounds French to me. I don't know, or Greek. It's all Greek to me. I don't know. Pick your language that I don't understand.
Right. Authorization.
But see, the flip side of that, authorization. The flip side of that is, for Rook's lack of political experience, I mean, he did work with. He was at Draken International. That was his company, so he has experience being a defense contractor. Right, that'll definitely work in your favor.
He surely knows how to speak defense contractor, which will surely aid him in his tasks.
The last thing, and this is the most important, and this is self-admittedly from Jim Bridenstine himself on his last day as NASA administrator. He has the president's backing. That, like, you guys can hate that guy, you guys can like him. We're not talking about that.
Right.
An administrator that has a backing from the executive branch and isn't just kind of there to just kind of keep going in that right direction, as you were saying, Jack, is so ridiculously important to be able to do what you need to do. Jim was arguably successful because he had the backing. Yeah. James Webb was successful because he had the executive branch's backing behind him.
Yeah.
That counts for a lot more than people give it credit. I feel like Bill has been doing okay, right? And he has backing, but there's really not. It's kind of just like, okay, keep doing your thing.
I feel
right?
like in leaders, a lot of times, there's different types of leaders. It's like it's like Godfather. Do you want a wartime boss or a peacetime boss?
Yep.
I feel like Bridenstine is, probably leaning on the side of a wartime boss, to use a lack of a better term. I feel like Nelson is more like a steward. Keep things running. Make sure the ship doesn't.
I would contend to say that if if you gave him like an aggressive goal, he could do it. His political competency is through the roof. He's been doing it for a long time.
But that wasn't the administration. The administration didn't do that, unfortunately.
Bingo.
Which is, heartbreaking. We're like skirting around the edge of politics. I don't really, we're talking about the NASA admin thing. We don't have to get into all that other stuff, but it is. I would say unfortunate that the outgoing admin did not, push things forward meaningfully.
The point that I'm trying to make is that having the backing from the executive branch helps.
Huge.
It really helps. That should be able to be enough to overcome Rook's lack of being in politics. He is an outsider. But if you have people that are politicians that are supporting you, you'll be, especially the one in the White House, that's a really big deal. That counts for a lot. So in that regard, I think he's going to do amazing.
Yeah, that plus Congress is completely, I think Congress, the executive branch, are going to move in lockstep for the next 2 years. I think we can all kind of expect that. And so, not only is he going to have the backing of the admin, he's going to likely have the backing of the legislature as well. Which, please, can we just go back to the moon? Like this, if you had asked me before this nomination if I thought we would get boots on the moon by 2030, I think it would have been a lot more lukewarm. But with this nomination, oh yeah, I think we're going back to the moon, and we're going there soon, buddies. Soon.
The other thing, Jack, is this is great news, and I think that Jared Isaacman is going to do great things. Talk is cheap in the space program, man.
Right.
I love Rook. I love him. The guy's amazing. He's a legend. Guy's raised $500 million for pediatric cancer research. The guy's he's a saint, right?
And
like
to the point, to that point
cheap.
Specifically, improve life on Earth through spaceflight. And
he'll do it.
You can talk about science, you can talk about technology, but just in the fact of getting people excited about going to space, between Inspiration 4 and Polaris Dawn, he has raised an enormous amount of money toward pediatric cancer, which, kids with cancer, can you think of a more horrible thing? I certainly can't. So it's not even some nebulous goal, let's improve life on Earth from space. No, he's already done it. $500 million worth. Put your money where your mouth is, people. It's amazing. In fact, I would go as far as to say I think the best thing that I personally feel like I've ever been involved with here at NSF is the Inspiration 4 fundraiser we did. We raised $100,000 or something. It was insane. Thank you all for that. It is so meaningful to me.
So I think he's going to do good things. I really do. I think he'll do good things, but talk is cheap. Let's wait and see what happens. Alex, what do you think?
Well, to your point, he has talked a lot, but he has walked a lot. So,
yeah, exactly. That leads me to believe that he's going to do good things. But once again, talk is cheap. We'll see what happens. He has to get nominated. He has to get nominated. He has to get confirmed by the Senate. That's important to understand. But Alex, what do you think?
I do want to hear what Alex has to think. But really quick, Kevin was showing on screen that Congress is already kind of getting in lockstep. You can see here, Representative Kevin Kiley, I'm assuming. Today I introduced the new Space Age Act to clear the way for exciting future ahead of us. Legislation frees the commercial space industry from the FAA's needless bureaucratic delays. Let's go. Let's do it. But yeah, Alex, thoughts on the Isaacman nom? How happy is your heart? Because I don't know if you can tell, I'm stoked about this. This has got me fired up.
We have a perfect super chat about that.
I know. We'll get to it. Make sure your answer is super long, so it takes 30 minutes to get to.
No, I'm gonna try to be as
dang man,
as short as possible here with my thoughts. The first thing that I thought when I saw it was wait, what? At first it's this sort of thing of It's this a joke, right? Because you don't expect. I did not expect this to pop up, but hey, as you two were saying, he's very talented. You see there. I think that's from, that's from Polaris Dawn because it's with a visor.
Look at
and
that!
the
Look at that face.
camera,
That's the
whatever.
face of a man who's seen the Earth from space.
And yeah, like he has experience. There's a lot of good things, right? My only issues is not with him, but rather with what will happen. While we're expecting that he'll probably be, getting the approval
Alex.
of Senate and everything.
Alex,
but
can I interrupt you for a second here?
sure.
I just want to take a look at this image. Kevin, go back to the image. I'm sorry, I'm backseat operating the stream here. But yeah, just contrast the look of a man who has seen Earth from the farthest of any human being in 50 years on the right.
And then the operator.
Look at the gleam in his eye. Like he is just overjoyed. And then contrast with the SpaceX employee in the back who's probably up at like 3 a.m. Probably
Someone that
stressed because
said
they're doing important recovery work with a space capsule. So I would be stressed as well. Anyways, just I love the contrast between the two faces. Go, Alex.
I'm gonna mighty unlikely says that's the face of a man that lived with a diaper for 3 days. I mean, they're not wrong. But yeah, so coming back to what I was saying, in my case, it's more about what will happen, right? Look, it's a fact that this will not be the first time that Trump is president of the United States, and during his first term, this was already tried, like a bunch of things to try to, cut through the red tape and try to, and like every attempt, right? You sometimes fail, and in that case, I think it's not that maybe it failed completely, but there were things that were not properly done, right? Jim Bridenstine tried to at least get through SLS. He proposed at one point this sort of thing of like, let's launch Orion on Falcon Heavy and whatnot. And then, as usual, Congress was like, what are you gonna do? Right? And they cut him short. So, you guys were talking about Jim, for example. By the end of his term, there were rumors that Trump was not very happy with Jim, precisely because he never got to do a bunch of major things that he really wanted to have at NASA, because again, Congress was in the way, and so it was like, I'm doing my best with what I have, right? I'm trying to set up things, and
also don't forget the pandemic happened, which is like a giant black spot on my brain. Like I still can't believe we all lived through that insanity.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's a good point.
So and so that's my point here, right? Now there's this new effort and everything, and so will it succeed? We'll see, right? And so that's my take. I'm happy for Jared, of course. I think it's better than some of the potential other proposals, I guess, like another legislator, some Yoshmo kind of thing, right? That you don't really know about, and who's this guy? And now he's gonna run NASA. At least Jared, we know him. From the last few years, he's been very vocal about spaceflight and whatnot. So I'm happy by that. I'm just concerned about, he wants big changes. Will he be able to do? I think even if he achieves 10% of a bunch of the things that they want to, right? Like if we get at least the gears going, that's one of the things that's kind of needed, right? Like just get the ball rolling. Right. As I was saying before, if we want things to happen, we need to make decisions. And sometimes you cannot make the full decision, but just start at least with the ball rolling, right? And to get to there. But
all right. See. We will see. I want to do some support, and then we're gonna do. We have so many good questions from chat. Where did that one go? There was a guy named Sean. It was right above EJ making an Office Space reference. I'm scrolling. This is not good TV. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Okay. Basically, someone named Sean in chat. Sorry, I'm not seeing it now.
Hi, Sean.
Said something to the effect of their opinion is that Jared only got this nom because they're a billionaire and they're friends with Elon, and they don't expect space fans to agree, but that's their opinion. I couldn't disagree more. I couldn't. The dude's been to space twice. Like he's operated a Red Air contractor for the Defense Department and for various military various branches of the military. Like this dude knows what's up. He's not only been to space, but he can talk the talk and is an aviator. Like you would want somebody that has the knowledge base and skill set that he has and passion for spaceflight.
Here's my thing.
I would want that.
And this might be a skin crawling question. It might be a hard question to answer. So what? How's that any different than what's happened the last 50 years?
Yep.
So what? At least this guy wants to do something, right?
Yep. Yeah, and
so what?
Politics to me is always there's always some amount of cronyism, right? And
right. So what? But it ain't anything different.
It doesn't make it good. I don't think in this case it's necessarily bad in any way, but it's just how it is. That's the Beltway kind of thing. Like that's DC for you. It's unfortunate, but that's the nature of the world that we live in.
And to be fair, Jack, just because you mentioned that, I don't think there's been, at least in recent times, a NASA administrator that has not been chosen because of either political reasons or some kind of, like Bill Nelson, former senator from Florida, right? Like he flew on the space shuttle, and he's like Jim Bridenstine. In his case, it was because it was this politician from Oklahoma that he was very into space stuff and everything, and he was proposed as like there was these forces trying to go around certain people that were vocal about space, about like it's not some random person that suddenly comes up and you don't know nothing about them, and they're know nothing about space or whatever, right? Like in recent times we've seen this, and it's not a surprise that it happened again. Like it is what it is. Yep. Whether you like it or not, then
it's just what it is.
It's a whole different thing.
Let's do some support, and then let's run through some questions, because there's so many questions like Hubble recovery or boost, back on the table, maybe ? Please God. But yeah, really quickly, Austin Skirvin, I'm gonna show your tip again on stream. I'm not gonna say the thing that Sawyer wanted you to say, so I said it. And I'm not gonna wear a kilt in the kayak. But thank you, Snot Garden. Thank you for the super chat. Flight 7. I see what you did there. We appreciate you. Snot Garden also gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Michael gifting a Red Team membership. Bideford. Margarita time later, Bideford.
Yeah, baby.
Thank
Let's
you for
go.
gifting 10 Red Team memberships. Ninja Decimator. Pew, pew, pew. With a $5 super chat. Thank you, buddy. They say extra thick cut bacon heat shield for Orion. Sounds delicious. Brian J gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Bideford becoming a Capcom member. Bideford, were you not a Capcom member already? Well, thank you. If you're not in the Discord, I swear Bideford's in the Discord. Either way, if you're Capcom level and above, you get Discord. Taryn, thank you for the super chat. They say, why don't they use Dragon to and from Leo, have a transfer starship to and from lunar orbit, and a lunar starship to and from lunar orbit? That's what EJ was saying. That's a good idea. Thank you for the super chat. Gautam, thank you for the super there. They say, so cancel SLS after Artemis 3? It's like a weird monkey paw scenario. You spend like a decade of your life hating on a rocket, and then the prospect of its cancellation becomes real, and then you're like, well, actually, I would be really sad if they canceled it. And I think it's kind of a bad idea, believe it or not. EJ, thoughts? dare I ask?
Say it again. Sorry, I had to tend to
cancel
Twitch
SLS after Artemis 3? ? I mean, it is a money hog. It's a hog.
Yeah,
Pretty
but
hog, though.
Jack, let's not sit here and pretend like if it wasn't hogging that money would be there for other allocation. That's not how capital allocation at NASA works.
You're right.
The second they can't, okay, guys, you gotta understand. Getting rid of SLS means billions of dollars less for the spaceflight industry as a whole.
Also,
Now,
just billions of dollars wasted. I know that's like sunk cost fallacy, but that's also a component. Like we've done,
absolutely.
we're so close. If anything, I would hope that Jared would whip the program into shape and get the flight rate up, and that way, let's do SLS 4 times a year, like clockwork. Bing, bang, boom. High flight rate solves all sins. We've been talking about this. EJ, sorry,
there you
I'm
go.
talking over you.
I was kind of building it up for this question to come along because I kind of anticipated coming. Sorry. The thing to do with SLS, in my opinion, and a lot, and it's not even just my opinion. I don't know. What do I know? I'm just some Twitch streamer. Hi, Twitch. Thank you for the raid, Middle Ditch.
I mean, you say that, but don't neg yourself. Like I do the same thing. I'm just a commentator. I'm a guy with a camera, kind of thing. I get it, but we are among the people who are the most connected and most informed in this space. Like I don't want. I'm not the type of person to toot my own horn, but it's a fact. Like I'm friends with the nominated guy.
No,
thanks, Kevin.
I think
so
ramping up
yourself,
SL. Thanks, man. I think ramping up SLS is the solution. Get rid of these cost plus contracts because SLS it's not in development anymore. The development contracts that you have on core stages right now need to be moved to that upper stage. Basically, baseline it at Block 1B and switch to a firm fixed price. I'm talking 10 or 4 missions a year for the next 10 years. No congressman, no defense contractor would not go for something like that at a firm fixed price. No one. That is steady and guaranteed profit over the next decade. Right. No one's not going to do that. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. And that's the kind of stuff I think Rook needs to do. I think he needs to whip NASA into shape.
I would love to see, like, let's say that the nomination goes through and he's the next NASA admin. I would love to see him sit down with the new Boeing CEO and just be like, look, dude, your space division has been a hog for you. We know. How can NASA work with Boeing to get SLS's flight rate up? How can we make your space division worthwhile to you with between SLS and Starliner and all of your other obligations? Like, how can we make Boeing what Boeing should be? I mean, it's a travesty what they've become in recent years. But I digress. Let's keep running through some support here because I do want to get to these questions.
Sure, shoot.
I know there's a lot to unpack with this. Bideford, thank you for the $50 super. Insanely generous of you, Bideford, as per usual. They say for Sawyer to treat him to all the puns he wishes to dole out. Love being back, and the next person that tries to hack me, look out. I'm glad you. Yeah, that buzzer is for the person. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Kevin. Telstar86, thank you for the support. They say give EJ a Carolina Reaper to get extra spicy. Oh, we will. Just a moment. Jim Cavett, gifting a Red Team membership. Thanks, bud. Always love seeing your name pop up as well. Devin, gifting 20 Red Team memberships. John James, gifting 1. Matt PD, with a super chat saying, getting flashbacks of EJ's stream, Modcaf, and Nick Fund. Bideford, thanks for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Bideford is so back. Steve Kalovic with a $5 super. They say, is your dog named Bacon? That would be weird when you eat. No, her name's Leica. She's a good girl. Astro Joe says, I work for Jared. He's an amazing leader. Yeah, I mean, in all of my interactions with him, I have zero bad to say. He just seems like an incredibly smart, incredibly thoughtful, incredibly driven individual. And that's exactly the kind of person that I think we all want to see at the head of NASA. Steve Kalovic.
That's what NASA needs, dude. That's what they need. You need somebody with character like what Jim did. You need somebody like that. But you also need somebody to be politically competent. But that's another story. Go with the question.
We need to find out what Jared's Diet Mountain Dew is. Steve Kalovic, they say, I haven't seen Jack this happy since beating Trevor in a debate. No, like I said, this has got me really fired up. I don't know if you can tell.
Wait, that happened?
If you're a longtime viewer, like, this is Good Mood Jack. Good Mood Jack's rare. I like Good Mood Jack. I'm glad he's around. Telstar86 gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you so much, everybody. We have a cool job, the coolest job, and we only get to do it because of your support. So thank you. Let's keep talking about Jared's nom. So yeah, Brian Mandow is asking, Jared equals Hubble plus Dragon? ? Do we think that a Hubble boost mission and repair could be back in the cards? Like, what can a NASA admin really like? How much leeway do they have to just be like, do this? Like, could he reactivate SR-71s? Let's get NASA flying SR-71s again. Jared likes old aircraft. Come on.
Wait, you could do that?
It honors the people who built it. It honors the country who flew it. It's just in science. SR-71, right? Let's go. Like, okay, I digress again. Hubble, Dragon, maybe. I don't think we would see that with Jared flying the mission, but certainly maybe him as admin could remove some of the roadblocks that were in place to it actually happening. What do you think, EJ?
Yeah, I think that's definitely on the table. Yeah, I think that NASA over the years has been conditioned to be kind of very not stingy. That's not the right word, but the mentality behind not doing the Hubble servicing mission was that it would be better. We could get more science out of the telescope if we just take our redundant systems, make them primary, and use them till they break, rather than trying to come up with kind of a bespoke resupply mission. And there is merit to that idea, right? Sure, but dude, just go fix it. I know it's a difficult thing. Space is hard, yada yada. You're telling me we don't have a commercial space industrial base to be able to get that done? Give me a break. That kind of mentality is not. That's not good for spaceflight. That's not a good way of looking at it. Let's go fix Hubble. Let's go grab ISS modules and bring them back down with Starship.
Yeah.
Right? Let's go do on-orbit refueling.
Let's do it.
Let's use Starship to build another space station shuttle style. Why? Because we can.
Right.
Because we're getting to the point where we could do that.
Let's
do
asteroids.
Stuff like this. Right? Yes.
Let's clean up low Earth orbit. Let's many things. Let's.
You think Apollo was going to be like this? No. That the Apollo was like, okay, we'll figure this out. We'll get it done. We know we have a big goal. We'll get it done. We'll go and do it. And then they did it. You got to put their mind to it. You think Apollo would have been like, oh, we can't service the satellite because it's too risky.
It's too
Give me
hard.
a break.
Yeah.
Give me a break. It's too hard is a terrible look for NASA.
Yep.
Give me a break. And I think Rook is going to change that, which is why I'm pumped about it, just as pumped as you are. I know you might not. It might not seem like it. I get a little spicy, but that's what they need. You need somebody like that. This is what needs to happen. We can't go service Hubble. Oh, dude, we should have a constellation of Hubbles up there. This is ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Let me just go out on yeah. Well, here's the thing, EJ. We do have a constellation of Hubbles, except the organization that operates them is a little one called the NRO, and they're all pointed at Earth. Yeah, doesn't the Nancy Grace Roman telescope use an optical tube that was donated to NASA by the NRO? They're like, hey, we have this telescope lying around that we're not going to use. You can have it if you want. And NASA's like, oh my God, we can do so much science with this. And we have who knows how many of those operated by the NRO, all pointed at Earth. And we have one Hubble pointed out into space. That's a crime.
That's what I mean, dude.
I got into a big fight with a friend of mine years and years and years ago because I learned this and was like, hey, did you know the Hubble has a 2.3 meter primary mirror? Because we had manufacturing heritage for a 2.3 meter primary mirror because that's what spy satellites used. They just had to grind it a different way for a different use. And they're like, no way, man. That's no way. And I'm like, no, it's true. We have a lot of Hubbles in orbit. It's just most of them, all of them except for one, are pointed.
Make a lot of James Webb Space Telescopes.
Yeah, make a lot of science. More science, more better, please.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's this. So we can't do this. We don't want to do this. We don't want to do. It's not technically. Dude, come on. Enough of that. We could only scrounge together the Hubble Space Telescope because it was left over. It was scraps from the DoD.
Right.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. No, that's not how we, as Rook so eloquently put it, that's not how you be in first place in spaceflight.
Right.
That's how you come in second place, to use his words.
Yeah.
No. You think that other countries are thinking like that? No way. Not a chance.
This is
just go and fix it. Just go and fix it, please.
It's probably more symbolic than anything, but I'm Jared Isaacman. It's day one for me at NASA. I'm going to put out a memo to all offices, and one of the things, I'm sure there's so many things that memo could say, especially knowing the things a NASA admin would know, but one of the things I would suggest on that memo to be is a banning, wholesale, across the board, of any utterance of space is hard. I hate
I
that
thought you were going to
phrase.
say IFT.
Also yes. Also hot. But no, like, it's 2024. Space shouldn't be hard. If anything, SpaceX is proving with Falcon 9 that space is complicated, space is challenging, but it's not hard. It's a solved problem in so many ways. And yeah, I don't know. Again, it's more nebulous, like,
I mean, dude, I know that people are going to look at it and be like, well, EJ, servicing Hubble's not that simple. You know, you can't call Hubble scraps. Like, dude, you can't. I understand, but that's what I mean, dude. Over the last 50 years with NASA, we've been conditioned to just compromise. Not. I know you have to compromise because it's a political process, but like, we had to be fine. No, you can't have space station freedom. You have the ISS. No, you can't keep the Saturn V. Here's the shuttle instead. Every time we've done that, we've ended up worse. NASA's ended up worse off. All right, it's time to realize that, right? The one time where NASA had carte blanche to do what they want, they actually achieved what their goal was. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I don't. You know, this is a spicy take here. How's this one for spice? I'm gonna throw some habaneros in here.
Spice it up.
I think if we, and I'm saying this as a shuttle guy, I love the space shuttle, but if we kept going with the Saturn V, there is no way it would have cost as much as the space shuttle program. Not a chance.
No way.
No way.
No way. In my opinion,
not a
we should have kept flying Saturn V while we worked on shuttle as more of a prototype development program thing. But because we had to phase Saturn V out, we flew shuttle like 4 or 5 times, and then Reagan was like, well, it's operational. That's my best Reagan, I'm sorry. So then called it operational. And it's like, no, shuttle really should have never been called operational. It was like a test flight every time. I mean, just look at...
Well, you wanted to fly it like an airplane, test it like an airplane.
Thank you.
Just saying. They don't take a modern commercial airliner, fly it 4 times, and be like, yo, it's good. We're good. It needs thousands of flight hours.
Yeah, what is it? The Lockheed Constellation would like a word with you, or is it the de Havilland Comet? What's the one with the windows that were circular? And yeah. Hey,
the Comet! Don't you besmirch?
No, Comet's a great plane. Once they worked out the bugs, Comet's a great plane.
The Constellation, Comet.
Connie also great. Connie is beautiful. It's just like, what a beautiful plane.
No, the motor and the wing design from the Comet and the Constellation is just Kelly Johnson design. You can't lose.
Yeah, the interior wing mounted engine, like dude,
it's an aesthetic.
Hey Alex, what's up? Welcome to Plane Talk.
It's a vibe.
That's it. That's all you got. You got to wave.
You don't like planes?
What am I going to say?
What plane do you like, Alex?
The ones that do not crash.
You know, that's a good answer. It's a fair answer. It's like the Alex version of the best landing is the one you can walk away from.
Hey Jack, can I bring it back to space for a second?
If you have to.
There's one thing that I see, and I'm not going to get political, but I'm kind of going to call some people out.
Do it.
Just generically. No, like I know that some people who are working on this show today did not vote for the incoming administration, right? But one thing that is really evident is that we're all excited about this nomination, right? And we've talked about this before. I think EJ's excited. He's making a funny face.
I cannot vote, so.
But one thing we've talked about before is you have to inspire a nation to make space real, right? You have to inspire the world. Jared has said this when he was on NSF Live, that like you can't have just like 50% of the world excited about going to space.
It's got to be everybody.
I think he is the type of person that can inspire the world. He's already, I can tell you from this panel, he's already gone across party lines. And he excites me. I think everything we've seen from even the space media or the space enthusiasts is that Jared is a good thing. And I'm really excited about this. And I just think if anybody's going to get anything done, Jared's going to get things done because he's inspiring everyone, no matter what side of the aisle you're on.
Right. Couldn't have said it better myself, Kevin. Thank you for that. I mean, I agree with everything you just said. I will suffice to say, the last thing on my bingo card of current events this week was cabinet administration pick that makes me excited or happy about the future.
Bingo!
So, I was extremely pleased that this is the best possible selection that could have been made, in my opinion. Alex, I feel like I've been talking a lot, and you've just been not talking, which is uncharacteristic for you.
It's okay.
Yeah, I was gonna
compensates
say,
for when I talk a lot. Uh,
Jack is
yeah,
talking more
I-
than Alex here. That's kind of
I cannot vote in the U.S., so hi.
Fair. So, of
well.
course.
Actually, I mean, hold on, Jack. Hold on a second. Well, I mean, Alex, are you pumped about this? Like, just saying, as an outside observer, right? That's good perspective, right? You're Jared's a
Well,
pretty good pick, right? Like,
and to Kevin's point, everybody needs to be excited about going to the moon and Mars, not just, a small group of people. If we're going back to the moon and Mars, I feel like I've been saying this forever, everybody needs to be hyped about it.
I'm gonna give a comment. It's gonna be very. It's mostly a joke, but as a European that yesterday was with his fingers crossed all the single time, hoping for that Vega C to return to flight successfully, I think I'm excited for space. I think I'm actually too excited. Let's put it that way.
All right.
that's his excited face, chat. Look,
I mean,
see,
honestly,
did you see it?
He does look pretty excited.
Look at him.
If you know Alex, you know that he does look excited right now. Good stuff. I mean, yeah. Kevin, your words are just like reverberating
It's
around my head.
My
It's-
outsider comment, I guess.
I think the
It
next
was.
4 years are going to be a wild ride. In some good ways, in some bad, but this nomination has got me hopeful that at least in the space flight sector, we've got an awesome 4 years ahead of us, and then some. Let's do some more questions.
What? Why are you assuming
Depod
making
Dolphin Productions, whoever that is, says, "Has there ever been an administrator with this much riz?"
I think that guy's a spaceflight enthusiast.
Oh, yeah, I think he is a spaceflight enthusiast.
You think we should ask Eric Berger?
But in response, I would say, on God, no cap, he's got the most riz for real.
Oh
Please-
my
please stop.
goodness!
Please stop.
Someone
Please.
mute him.
Please
Kevin,
stop.
you actually have muting powers. Can you?
Please don't do that again.
Okay. Nina is asking, with the appointment of Jared to NASA, will there be more funding to get to the moon? What do you think? We're going to see an increase to NASA's budgets? Or do you think we just will see like a streamlining? This is, I guess, my motion for streamlining. I guess streamlining would be more like streamlining. I don't know. Somebody talk, please, for the love of God.
I don't know. That one's really hard to say. We can't predict the future. I will say this. I think if Rook goes in there and renegotiates the contracts and puts cost plus where it should be and puts fixed pricing where it should be, I think I don't think NASA needs that much of an increase in budget. Like I said, the money's there. NASA has a $23 billion budget. And I know, I understand that's not all SLS. It's spread around. Nor am I going to be like, if Rook comes along and says we need $42 billion and Congress and the president are like, all right, let's do that. I'm not going to be upset. Let me put it to you like that. But I don't think you don't really need that much of a funding increase to really start leveraging the system to work for you. So I mean, I would hope more money for NASA is not a bad thing. I see people out there getting confused, like, giving NASA more money is a bad thing. No, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. I think people more like how it gets allocated. But Jared has said, actually, in past posts on X, talking about how, the capital allocation at NASA. So it's something that's on his radar, which is great. That's a great thing. It's great. It's really good. Maybe it's possible. That would be awesome.
I'm just so happy.
Oh, I'm happy. Hold me.
Oh, geez.
Oh, geez, guys. I think I love Isaacman now. Oh, geez.
Oh, gosh, we're going back to the moon. All right, I'll stop. We can't both do it. Only you can do it. More questions. Keep your questions coming too, guys. I've got my eyes on chat. Sawyer's mad. I'm not going to say the thing, but Sawyer can deal with it. Dan O'Keefe's asking, with all these delays, do you see SpaceX scooping NASA on the moon landing and just doing it themselves? Nope, absolutely not. Especially not with Jared as the admin.
Yeah, no, I don't think that.
Any relation with Sean, Dan?
What?
Oh,
It's Dan O'Keefe. That was a NASA administrator.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. Hey, I get it. I get it.
Talking about NASA administrators, I just saw the question. I was like, hey, kind of reminded me of
Gwen Ever saying/asking, isn't the unpalatable truth that canceling SLS means no U.S. boots on the moon before 2030? A, I'm not so sure SLS is going to get canceled, and B, I don't think if it did get canceled, that would mean no boots on the moon by 2030. Would anyone care to issue a rebuttal or just a concurrence? Do you concur?
Well, yes and no. Jack, I said what I said before. I think Starship is going to get a human rating by the end of this decade. I really do. The way they're ramping, the way they're moving up.
So by the end of the decade?
Yeah, I said 2028. We're going to see people fly. Like, okay.
Oh man, but holy cow, right. That's right, because you said 4 years.
Think
what
about
is time?
This. Yeah, right. What is time? Think about this for a second.
Flat circle.
In your interview with Rook, you asked the inevitable question, like, when's the next mission? When's the next mission? And what Rook said to you, if I'm remembering correctly, he said it should probably be on the frequency between Inspiration 4 and Polaris Dawn. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen now, right? But, some logical extrapolation there. We know that Polaris 3 is the first crewed Starship launch on the books with SpaceX. Paid for? Don't know. Not gonna ask. Not my business, right?
Right.
So if Inspiration 4 2022, Polaris Dawn 2024, that puts Polaris 2 at 2026, and that puts Polaris 3 at 2028. That's why I said 2028. There's got to be an internal goal for it somewhere, because 2028 is right around the corner in spaceflight time. That's might as well be tomorrow. So if SLS does get canceled, I would certainly say, and I don't think it is for what it's worth. I think it should be expanded. Talked about that already. If it does, it would definitely make our odds go down towards getting to the end of the moon, but that doesn't make them go to zero. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Oh, sorry. I think my internet just dropped out for a second. I lost the last 3 words that you said, and then you said, well, that's all I have to say about that. Thanks,
and
Forrest.
Vietnam, that's all I have to say about that.
And then something jumped up and bit me. And then he's running in the scene and he goes, "Ow, something bit me!" It gets me every time. It's like the narrator says something bit me, and then him in the scene says something bit me. Like in the yeah, Forrest Gump. Watch it if you haven't. If you haven't seen Forrest Gump, what are you, Trevor? Like, what's wrong with you?
And you probably also go to Olive Garden.
Again with the Olive Garden.
Still salty about that. Just
the
like that pasta.
The Thick 4445. Thanks for the super chat. They say, I agree. Don't think we should cancel until good replacement. Yeah. I mean, redundancy,
Fair.
Dissimilar redundancy. How many times do we have to say that word or those words on this show? Dissimilar redundancy, good. I would be bummed if they canceled SLS. Multiple heavy lifters is good.
Rather than dissimilar redundancy, I should say more like continuity, right? Rather than...
Also, yeah.
Like, when the space shuttle was retired, the U.S. had to go to Russia, right? To get Soyuz right into orbit and whatnot.
Which really was like, I understand the geopolitical reasoning for that, but also, like, what a travesty.
Exactly.
Using Russian stuff. How did that turn out?
You don't want a gap in capabilities. You want continuity. You want a smooth transition so that when you leave the older capability, you still have another one that you can use. And so, like, continuity. That's good.
You know what? And here's perhaps my spiciest. Here we go. Buckle up, buttercups. Here's perhaps my spiciest take for you here. You know what? I do think NASA should, to a certain extent, serve as a jobs and knowledge base program. Guess what? It's good for our country to have aerospace and spaceflight manufacturing like an industrial base. It's a good thing for the government to subsidize that to a certain extent, because we need that capability in our country. And if it's not going to just pop up indigenously and organically, then guess what? The government needs to stimulate that somehow. Obviously, it's a spectrum, and there's way too much and there's way too little. But I think on the whole, yes, we want smart people in this country, and yes, we want those smart people to have jobs, and yes, sometimes that means the government needs to subsidize that stuff.
I never liked people calling
Stop it, Kevin.
I never liked people calling SLS a jobs program and implying that a jobs program is bad. What the heck was the Apollo program? That was a 400,000 strong jobs program. The difference is the goal, what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
You know what else was a jobs program? The interstate highway system. You know what else was a jobs program?
The Manhattan Project.
All kinds of works, like the Hoover Dam jobs program. What was the? Oh God, I'm forgetting the name.
Manhattan Project? No, that wasn't a jobs program, right?
Hang on, no.
Oh,
hey, we don't have those. We don't have those here.
Whoops.
we have freight trains and sometimes subways. That's it. Sorry, no high speed anything here.
Hey, our freight logistics distribution network is the best in the world. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's what happens when you give the railroad companies all of the rails and the passenger trains have to pull into a frickin' siding, and then capitalism runs rampant at the railroad companies, and they try and do precision scheduled railroading. Okay, no. Let's stop. Let's stop. This is not the show to argue about the ills of.
Hey, we're known for going off the rails. How far do you want to take this?
I mean, it's 6:00. We got some time. Can I go get some more tea?
Yeah, go ahead.
I thought you were going to rant about things.
Well, okay, all right, fine. The reason why private companies own all the dang rails and all the freight companies own the rails is because the government basically forced the nationalization of the railroads with Penn Central, and it imploded catastrophically in 1970, and they sold everything off. And the stuff that wasn't profitable, they kept. And then all the passenger service that wasn't profitable that they kept became Amtrak.
Which itself wasn't profitable, except for the northeastern.
There
corridor.
it is. Look at the crazy eyes, man.
That's how you know.
Boom. I'll lean into the Zoom. I don't care.
Das is in our back channel also saying civilian conservation corps. So many national parks. Yeah. You know what? Jobs programs are good sometimes. Yes, Blue Benji. I know about precision scheduled railroading, and it's infuriating. Hey, you know what? We can make graph go up and make more money if we just have one guy on the train instead of two. And then if anything goes wrong on the train, the guy's got to get out. Okay, anyways.
I like trains.
I like trains.
You know what would be cool? Building trains on the moon.
That would be sick. Moon train.
We could do that if we went to the moon.
We're taking it back to the beginning of the new...
You talk too much about trains for being Americans.
Moon train.
Bro, I love trains.
We like trains. We like trains here. Train good, car bad. It's an established fact. Don't even
I was on vacation.
Yeah, it's a very American position. I understand
I was on vacation last week, and you know what I did on my vacation? I went to a train station. It's not being used as a train station anymore, but hey, it was a train station. It was beautiful.
Nice.
Michigan Central, if anybody's wondering. It was awesome.
Heck yeah.
That's what I do on my vacations because I'm a nerd.
Let's do some more questions because we're nerds. Vaquero is asking second ISSD orbit dragon to boost Hubble. I hadn't even thought of that. Instead of use the ultra big. Why are we showing twists? Hey, look, it's twists. Oh yeah, moon train. It's the moon
baby.
Train. It's the
moon
baby.
Train.
No, hang on. That is the flame trench talking about the moon train, which features the twist. It's like
we've reached another level.
Yeah, it's another
Kevin, take this
layer.
And then play this back in like let's go deeper. We need to go deeper. Someone play the Inception music. Oh man. RC Horseman, thank you for gifting 10 Red Team memberships. You're the best. And Miss Daisy, what the heck with $100 tip?
Wow.
Miss Daisy.
Yeah, baby.
Speaking of rails,
is there to drive you because you're Miss Daisy. Yeah, thank you. That's incredibly generous of you. They say I'm late. Another hour off the rails, please. Love what you do. Thanks as always. Lean into it, EJ.
Oh, I will.
With support like that, I mean, how could he not? Seriously, thank you so much. That's very incredibly generous of you.
Thank you.
All right. My throat is actually starting to die, so I do need to go get more tea. I've been sick. So I'm going to do that because, you know what? We're professionals here, and I'm just going to get up and walk away. But in the meantime, I'm going to throw a question to you two. We're going to ask this one from Trey9 here. Does Polaris continue? Do we have a NASA admin?
That's a good one.
Do we have NASA admin briefs in space from a Dragon capsule? That would be a flex. It's okay. So this is of course a very important topic. People want to talk about conflicts of interest potentially that could exist, or what happens to Polaris. I personally think Jared will handle all of that in the nomination process. I'm not worried about it at all. Do I think he'll continue to fly as NASA admin? I don't think it's impossible, but I could see him saying, you know what, not going to fly. I'm going to do the work here on the ground to enable others to fly. And I could see him flying, after his term as NASA admin. But EJ, what do you think? I'm totally going to sit here and listen to you and not go run and get more tea.
Okay. So first of all, just to answer everybody's question, I'm not from Michigan. My wife's from Dearborn. I'm from Massachusetts. Also, go Lions. Anyway, so does Polaris continue? Yeah, I think Scott Poteet is going to take over the Polaris program. I think. Am I out of focus again?
Yeah, I think I need my glasses. Hang on.
Who broke the camera? Chat, put your glasses on.
You're still blurry. It was not the glasses.
No, I think your prescription's bad.
Do you have it in autofocus?
Yeah, maybe, dude. I had to reset the camera settings on this thing because my computer
maybe I
is being a
can
piece of poop.
Go with my usual Alex sensor, and you can.
Oh, I got it. I fixed it. I fixed it. See, you put your glasses on. Look what happened.
Oh,
no,
yeah,
sorry
it was the
that.
glasses. Hang on.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, apologies about that. I've been having some weird camera problems.
My goggles, they do nothing.
They seem to be fixing it. Anyway, so I think Scott Poteet's going to take over Polaris, if I had to guess. However, wait for it. How cool would it be to have the NASA administrator fly into space? Well, he's NASA administrator. Could be cool. Oh, you're back. No,
I am back. He should. I mean, honestly, conflicts of interest, all that stuff aside, how sick would it be? Like, the NASA administrator should go into space. Going into space should be reliable and safe enough that the NASA admin can go. And it's not like, oh, we can't send someone so important. Like, no, send them into frickin' space. Have them do a presser from the ISS right there in the couple and say, hey, buddy, we're real. Like, this is happening. We're going to the moon. And then everyone's on Earth will be like, yeah, we love you, Jared.
Yeah, no, that's... Come on. Look, Isaacman is a bold pick. And if... I think it's not a zero chance, right? To talk like Elon, it's not a zero chance that still happens. I think the more realistic answer would be that Scott Poteet takes over. I think that's more realistic. Or Cyan Proctor, that would be cool too. Like let's go.
That'd be sick.
Let's go. That'd be awesome. But I still can't get that out of my mind. How cool would it be to have the NASA administrator fly on the first Starship mission? Now that's putting your money where your mouth is. That's bold.
That mean incredibly bold.
That'd be cool.
I'm being shown now in full screen. Is this to get me to say something?
Say something.
Yeah, maybe Polaris continues. There's always a lot of people forget that Polaris is not just Jared, but it's Jared and SpaceX. This is a partnership, and they flew two of their own employees on Polaris Dawn.
Yep.
And so
that's a good point.
It's just a program that is like a partnership. It's not just because Jared now goes off and becomes NASA administrator, right? It doesn't mean that the whole thing just cannot keep going, right? And I mean, you know what will be cool? I know it will be impossible, but it will be some kind of meetup of administrators in space, on the ISS.
That would be sick.
Not just have Jared go up there, but put up Bill Nelson again.
Yeah,
bring Bill and Jim
and Bridenstine. He didn't go, but go out with him.
Let's do it.
Put or four on a Crew Dragon.
Dude,
Kevin
Charlie
brings up
Bolden.
a good point.
Charlie Bolden's a devil dog. Jim's a Navy pilot. They'd be fine. They'll figure it out. Not worried.
Yeah. Kevin brings up a good point in our back channel too regarding the whole conflict of interest thing. It was a philanthropic adventure for Jared. It wasn't a profitable thing. So that's something to bear in mind as well. That's a good point from Kevin. Miss Daisy gifting 20 Red Team memberships. Holy cow, Miss Daisy. Thank you. Huge amount of support from you on this stream. And Telstar86 says, EJ, get a new camera. Buddy, what is your port?
This is the new camera, man.
You have every week it's some camera problem. And you have a good camera. Like I know you do this on Twitch constantly every single day. I don't know why it's always a
I don't know. Kevin? Get a comment?
Let's blame Kevin. It's Kevin's fault.
I'm blaming the equipment. I'm the. Oh, God.
Speaking of Kevin's fault,
Don't do this
Justin is
again.
asking,
Stop.
will there be a Ship 26 memorial video? No. All right. Moving right along. I do want to point out that
there already was one, Jack.
No.
We
Moving
played
on.
it a couple weeks ago.
You're coming through as a robot. I can't quite hear what you're
You're
saying.
lying.
It's
Going-
really garbled.
You're going into a tunnel.
I could hear myself
Sorry.
twice, and I
No,
know I'm
it's
not a
not.
robot.
Did you guys hear anything? I don't. It's just like
No,
a.
he's
breaking
up.
I don't.
Yeah, this is the Flame Trench, Kevin. UHF com check.
Beep.
I'm sorry, he's
Anyway,
gone. Sorry.
Another way you can support what we do is with the merch store. In fact, it might just be the best way you can support what we do. We got all kinds of cool stuff on the merch store, like, hey, I'm drinking my tea out of a Tank Watcher mug. We also have prints in the store. A portion of the sale of each print goes to the photographer who took the image. So if you're looking for a gift for a loved one this holiday season and you're thinking of getting them something space related because they're a nerd like you and they're maybe even also watching this, sneakily get them a print. We have a whole bunch of really amazing stuff from both D, Max, and myself, and I believe Mary as well, from Flight 6 and previous Starship flights. So yeah, I mean, speaking as a photographer, there's no higher honor than somebody wanting our work on their wall. And the little bit of money we get for each sale personally of our work really does make a huge difference to enabling what we do. We've also got stickers again from all the various patch designs and with the booster return design as well. So if you wanted stickers, if you didn't get a patch for a certain mission, pop on over to the shop, grab yourself some merch this holiday season. Screw getting something from somebody else. You deserve a present. You deserve nice things. Buy.
Treat yourself.
Consume.
Treat
Do
yourself.
it. All right.
Treat yourself.
Yeah, treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself. All right. Let's keep on rolling here. Kyle Reese is asking, will Isaacman revive the Venture Star, the 1990 to 2001 replacement of the space shuttle? There's so many like pet projects. Like somebody, I think it was TJ Cooney on Twitter was saying like, hey, Jared, reactivate a couple of F-14s and use them for aeronautic research, which I will die a sad man, at least in part, like 1% sad man, I will die, never having gotten to see an F-14 fly. So yes, I would love that. But Jared responded on Twitter and said, the Navy could do that. And I was like, well, then SR-71s for NASA? Why not? Let's go. But no, I don't think he'll revive Venture Star. Although I would really love to see a sort of refocusing of one of NASA's core goals and missions to work on the next steps in spaceflight beyond Starship, beyond Orion. What is like maybe nuclear propulsion, things like that. Hopefully, Isaacman is able to lead NASA and provide them with a vision long term so that they can do what they're best at, and that's innovate in ways that doesn't make sense for the commercial sector necessarily or for other situations.
I mean, I think
AJ.
that Rook will speak leaps and bounds for that first A in NASA, the aeronautical side of things, so the plane stuff. Why doesn't NASA dish out some contracts to Hermes or Dawn or Boom Supersonic dude, the base, the industrial base is there to work on.
Wait,
you have quiet supersonic transport, turbo ramjet propulsion, helium pre-cooler propulsion, even though reaction went under, right? So sweet. Start
nuclear powered planes.
I mean, you could do that. Sure, why not?
I know
what's the problem?
It's feasible. It's just nuclear.
Let's do it.
Planes. Anyways,
let's do it.
Okay, I love that I can do this. You might see the stupid look on my face. I am tweeting. The tweet says, "Small request at Rook Isaacman. Make X-Planes great again, please. Thanks. Sincerely, everyone."
I can get behind this.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it
I
just
can
got a
get behind this.
notification.
This
Where
timeline
is this?
rules. I love this timeline. Oh, man. Oh, really quick store note on the patches. If you're wondering where your patch is, production is complete, and they are en route to the warehouse on schedule. Pre-orders should start shipping very, very, very soon. The pre-orders should start becoming orders and shipping very, very, very soon. So thank you all for your patience. Flight 6 came up on us real fast there. We appreciate y'all accommodating the pre-order on the patches. And yeah, keep an eye on your emails. You will see them shipping out here shortly. Hooray! Hooray! A Starship flight cadence that's fast enough to cause shipping logistic issues. Oh, good deal. I love that chat's reacting to the tweet. Oh my god, he did it! Yeah, of course I wouldn't say I'm doing it and not do it. Of course I'm gonna do it. Let's do some more questions. Speaking of doing things. We already kind of hit Polaris and Jared as NASA admin. That's a good question, though, and I'm glad we got to talk about it. All 4 LX says, "From my reading of the Aztec calendar behind EJ, it looks like the end of the world on 22nd December 2026. Bummer. Was looking forward to Dragonfly." That's
yes.
a good one.
Yes.
We just need you with some tinfoil on your head, like
It's
looking at it with some like red string, like do the red string chart. Like, what does it mean? Carol!
It's all
Carol!
connected. It's all connected.
Good stuff.
So Jack, then you
James?
are stoked about Jared?
Is that your attempt at a segue?
I guess. We're being pressured in the back channel to move on.
Oh, we're being yelled at, but we're having fun.
I'm
Yes.
having fun as well, because Stoke is very interesting.
Oh my god, you're trying so hard. Good job.
I know.
Go ahead. Tell us about Stoke, Alex, please. No, not me. Not me.
Yeah, because you told me before. Yeah.
I explicitly said not me for this one. I like Stoke. Stoke is awesome. Alex, go.
Yeah, so this week, Stoke just quietly updated their website with a new design of Nova, of their fully reusable rocket. It looks different. Let's put it that way. maybe if we can show the other one that actually that's some sort of like schematic and everything. I'll give Kevin some time to do that. But bottom line, it now looks a little bit more like mini Starship, I guess. The booster, they drop all of the useless paint that they no longer need. There you have it. For example, another thing, it seems perhaps it's using also hot staging as well. There doesn't seem to be any kind of stage separation mechanism. There's no grid fins. There's only landing legs essentially on that first stage, and both the first and second stages have been stretched, so they're a little bit more longer and whatnot. However, it's still the same performance. So they say it's 3 tons to low Earth orbit, fully reusable, 7 tons fully expendable. And I think they also talk about up to escape velocity. They can throw 800 kilograms and whatnot. The basic designs of upper stage hydrologs, first stage is methalogs. That's pretty much the same. They also have shown extra. So there's the other render as well. You can see that the second stage, it's sort of sitting on the first stage, and there's the ring of engines on the second stage, and that's it. So maybe we'll see some hot staging there. It kind of if the rocket can be made to survive that, it probably is a lot better than having to have heavy pushers and whatnot. And so, another thing that we saw, and I'm not sure if Kevin will be able to pull that out, is the pictures of production. So now they have shown also the website has been updated with pictures of the production of the first flight vehicle. More barrel sections can be seen and everything. It's very interesting. Unfortunately, there's no actual like statement from the company on, hey, this is this and this is that. So we have to guess a little bit here and there. Also, more pictures and more footage of the first stage testing that they had been doing for the last year or so. And so right now they are doing a lot of work at their launch pad. Spoiler alert, you'll see that next week because there's being a flyover of KC. And so you'll see there's being a ton of progress at the launch pad. They're preparing for a debut flight. That's the older version, by the way. I'm not sure why it's on that video, even though the video is new, but the all of the and so the thing is, they are trying to gear up for that first flight of Nova next year. They are already building the hardware, like Flight 1 hardware. So I'm very excited about them. I think it's a neat design. Of course, it's not Starship size. Again, this is a 3-ton to low Earth orbit rocket in full reusability mode. You can see there those performance numbers, I guess. And so it's not a, but it's still quite big. Like in expendable mode is 7 tons. Like this is Soyuz kind of performance in terms of expendable rocket, right? So this is a very medium kind of heavy lift. Well, not heavy. It's like medium lift launch vehicle kind of capability, right? And so it's not small. It's not, say, Rocket Lab Electron, right? Or Alpha or something like that. It's a lot larger, but it's not Starship level. And it's fully reusable, which is neat.
Reusable spacecraft
that
are the future. I think we can all agree. And that's a good part of the reason why we're all so stoked.
You interrupted me to make a pun?
About Stoke. EJ, what?
EJ, you're muted for us.
Never mind. I was going to say, every time I see Stoke second stage, I can't help but think of Chrysler SERV, which good idea. A little crazy, but a good idea.
It looks more like Rodan.
I was going to say DCX, but, go off.
SERV was actually Rockwell's bid. Or no, it wasn't Rockwell. Who what? Yeah, maybe it was. Doesn't matter. It was a bid for the space shuttle program, and it was an SSTO that's just pod shaped. I know Stoke is a 2-stage system, and I get it, but yeah, it's just an SSTO that was pod shaped that had a gigantic arrow spike at the bottom for vertical takeoff, vertical landing. It's pretty cool.
Gotta love it.
Chrysler, yeah, that's right. Chrysler
fully
did SERV.
reusable rockets.
Oh. Alex, do you just want to host? You know what? Go ahead. No, host. open up the panel. Go ahead. It's the Alex show.
I don't know.
It's the Alex show. No, go ahead.
No.
I don't
You
know.
go
You're
ahead.
Mr. Segway. You're Mr. Segway. I don't even need to.
Yeah, because I know we're on a time crunch right now because we spent 2 hours talking about Artemis and Jared. To be fair, there was a. I'm having fun too. Do you want this to be a 10-hour show? I can do that. EJ can do that. Can you?
Yep.
Well, you're the one making it fast, buddy. So, I mean, don't look at me. Anyways, continue, please. What's going on with the other reusable spacecraft in the room? Of course, we're talking about Starship.
Yeah, because for this one, I actually have to pull up a little bit of notes here. Because, remember what happened yesterday night? We went live very unexpectedly. I actually was supposed to be on that stream and went to sleep. Yeah, good for me, I guess. And so yesterday, SpaceX rolled Booster 14 out to the pad, and they are gearing up that vehicle for a static fire test. Hopefully, in the next few days, we'll see. We'll go into the details in a minute. We also have had the static fire stand for ships moving out to the production site from Massey's, so that's also another thing. It seems like there's now closures for the roll to masses of the ship on top of the stand, so that it can do its own static fire test stand. So overall, what this, in a very short summary here, we're about to see engine testing of Flight 7 vehicles, like Starship Flight 7 already getting, static fire testing and everything. There's the booster 14. Of course, a lot of cranes, a lot of scaffolding and everything. As always, work continues on the overall launch mount.
Yeah, is this live, Kevin? I just leveled this camera today. That is not level. That needs to be leveled.
We're gonna
better.
get you out again.
I need to do better.
Post
This is
show.
not.
That's for memes.
It's like 2 degrees off. That is not. I don't like it. So, engine testing with booster, engine testing with ship 33. What do we think? Flight 7 in January seems entirely plausible, if you ask me. EJ?
Yeah, that's gonna happen. And I actually chat over on my end on Twitch actually gave me the money to come down there. So whenever it is, I think it's gonna be in January. I'm coming down there.
I'm so excited
make me come
for you to
down
come
there.
down here. I'm
Yeah,
so
baby.
excited. I need to decrapify my Land Rover enough that when you see it, you won't be completely mad at me. You'll just be like, I'm disappointed. But if you saw it right now, you'd be like, dude, what's wrong with you? So I have some work to do. Because once
Why do you
get
say
here,
that?
I am going to ask you to wrench on my Land Rover.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
All right.
The other day I was trying to grease up my drive shaft, and the stupid grease fitting pulled the Zerk off the drive shaft. Or the U-bolt. I don't know how that. I was trying to remove that. Anyways, it's a great car. Hey, look, a booster rolled out.
Yeah. There it is. Well, there it is.
There it went. It's a good looking booster, I gotta say. I was out there last night for the roll, and it's looking mighty clean. And that's not just because it was raining on it.
Now, Alex, is there any change in this booster from 12 and 13?
In the great scheme of things, so again, when I say this, if you were to look at it and just glance at it for 10 seconds, you'd be like, it's the same as the previous one, right? It is when you go to the little details when things change a little bit, but even with the really, really small details for this one, it's like there's not a lot of changes even on some of the smaller details. A bunch of the upgrades as well are now internal. Like when we saw upgrades, for example, when they went from Booster 4 to Booster 7, Booster 7, Booster 9, a bunch of the upgrades that we saw were external and whatever, but there were also 1,000 things that were internal, right? Now, a lot of the things are external, more or less work well, right? So we just don't see a lot of those external things going on. And so, you can think of internal things, I don't know, like better computers, better avionics, like that kind of stuff. The plumbing and etc. etc. Like there's 33 engines in that booster there, in that video that you see there. Like there's a lot of plumbing there. You can upgrade up a gazillion things in all of that, right? I was about to say something that I shouldn't say live stream, but there's a lot of stuff there that you can upgrade and you wouldn't see it, right? And so, yeah.
You've been hanging around with me too much, dude.
Sawyer is now offering $50 to say the thing that he once said on stream. If anybody wants to take him up on it, I will not. Just throwing that out there.
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Oh goodness.
So there was some memberships being dished out like candy in the chat, man.
Oh my god. Blake Alexander gifting 10 Red Team memberships.
Balake.
Thank you, Blake. And Old Bear becoming a Capcom member. Hey, Capcom members, you have access to Discord, which also means you have access to all of the cool channels in Discord, from Food Chat to all the various space channels, to the Makerspace, to the gaming channel, to the sports ball channel. But also, you have access in that very same Discord to the pre-show and post-show that happens to the Flame Trench. So if you want to hang out with us before the show or after the show, where we're just sort of shooting the stuff and hanging out, be sure to pop into the Discord and hang out for the pre-show and the post-show. It's a cool perk. Also, you get members multi-view, you get all the cool member perks. Member program, it rules, and we couldn't do this without it. So thank you, Old Bear, for becoming a member, and thank you, Blake, for gifting memberships.
Oh, I love her.
Alex, did you want to do a little bit of a tease, a little bit of a
why not?
a little bit of a flyover promo? We do have, speaking of promos, we do have This Week in Spaceflight coming out right after this show. So if you want a nice, succinct summary of the news of the week, you can check out Twist in about
the
13 minutes or
13
so.
launches that happened in the last 7 days.
So many launches. It's insane. But yes, before we get to that, we also have a KSC flyover coming out, I believe, Tuesday next week? Question mark?
Yeah, hopefully Tuesday.
We have a
Let's see.
we have a KSC flyover coming in
question?
hot. D and Max, and I think Julia as well, did their... No?
Julia was
No,
not
maybe?
able, but yeah.
Okay, D and Max did their magic from the helicopter and got us some views of KSC, and we learned some things. What did we learn, Alex?
Well, as I was saying, work continues on the overall launch mount, and of course, it also continues
Play the groan.
in
Play the groan.
Florida. So, as you can see, there are some parts there. There's already parts for the overall launch mount for the Florida Starship. The new design as well. This is, pretty much what we've seen at Starbase as well for Pad B, for the second pad at Starbase. So it's probably going to be, some kind of copy of that OLM. Here, it's a little bit further behind in terms of the timeline. The parts that we see there are sort of like the supports where they're going to be building the OLM, and then sort of like parts of the first layer, because it's like 3 layers. There's the base that's going to be sort of anchored to the mount, or sort of to the flame trench. And then
You said the thing.
I said the thing, right? And then you're gonna have the middle layer, which is the one with the hold down clamps and whatever, and then a top layer with water deluge and whatever. But yeah, so that's one of those. We've spotted 1,000 things, of course, but they're also expanding. Like, all of this is Starship related. Like, we were talking about Starship. There's also things going on related with Starship, not just the OLM, but also they're expanding finally after so many years of talking about this North expansion at Roberts Road. They're finally doing that. And so we're going to be covering all of this, of course, in more detail on that flyover. But be warned, they're already doing a ton of stuff. That expansion, we hope, cross your fingers, and my fingers, I'm also crossing them. That, because that place, we think it's going to be where they're going to be producing Starship vehicles from Florida in a few years from now. There's still some clearing to do, bunch of construction to go through and everything. And speaking of construction, I know Kevin already has this pulled up. There you go. There's also a lot of things going on at 39A. We saw those cranes being set up there. So this was during the flyover. Since then, they have started to cut up that big liquid oxygen tank that was built in 2022 when they put up the launch tower for Starship there, as you can see with the chopsticks and whatnot. So that tank, the white one, is a methane sphere. The one on the left, though, not too much to the left. Where are you going? The gray one, there. The one in the middle. Those 2 cranes have raised up. They have been cutting up the tank already. So watch Space Coast Live for all of that progress, because we are putting that out as well. Also, New Glenn testing. Glenny. Speaking of New Glenn, we also have pictures of New Glenn. I'm
Don't
rolling
call it
here.
that, man.
I'm rolling.
Don't call it that, man. Don't encourage him.
There you go.
No, it's Glenny.
We
No,
also
it's totally Glenn.
had Noogling on the pad, as well as Max and D were flying over the Kennedy Space Center and Cape Canaveral. But there's not just that full rocket being tested, and I know Kevin is about to use another more exciting sound effect, which I love, is we also have future New Glenn boost. Well, in this case, it's a booster. It's at second stage that is being tested now at the 2CAT facility. I'm gonna wait for him to spool it up. There you go. That's the second stage. And wait, did you have the 2CAT?
Yeah, that's me.
Is that okay? Well, we don't have
I
Sawyer
still-
with Jake, so
I still think
What
the
is-
2CAT meow should be completely different, but you know what?
What
I'm
is-
not
what
Kevin,
was
so
that?
I don't get to choose that.
What
It should be
was
like
that?
meow, meow. It's 2 chirps. It should be 2 just. No, it should.
Hey,
And that's like
I
that's
think-
like 6 cats. They're like just
I
do the
think you
beep,
should-
beep beep beep. That's enough. It
I
doesn't
think
need
you
to.
should call a doctor. Your cat is malfunctioning.
Yeah, clearly.
so that
I
was
think
a
you should
quick
call a doctor. Your
rundown.
cat is
Kevin's
malfunctioning.
just pressing buttons at this point.
Yeah, I'm done. Like, it's a quick rundown, quick tease. You'll get all the full details on Tuesday, and you may also see in Alex on that video as well. Oh my god!
Well, good deal. Keep your eyes open for that. Let's do some more questions as we wrap up the show here. Speaking of Glenny, Nick is asking, when is New Glenn supposed to launch? Do we know?
That's
Yes.
a good question.
I think they're really trying to get that thing out of the hole by the end of the year.
You think they will?
Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely.
I hope you're wrong because I want to be there for it, and I already have so much travel for the rest of this month. So,
Well, what you're going to want to keep an eye. Yeah, I know. What you're going to want to keep an eye out for is if Jacqueline leaves the port. Jacqueline
Yep.
leaves port. Pretty good indicator of when you're going to see it.
Yeah,
you
good
could
point.
see that on the Space Coast Live cameras that we got. Hey-o.
hey, shout out to Space Coast Live. Nice.
Yeah. Alex, you think it's going to go this year?
I think it's gonna go to next year. But hey, good trying, right? Like, I don't. We were talking about putting really ambitious goals for a private company. I don't mind.
All right.
So no. So no.
Ryan saying it will launch on December 52nd, 2024.
Ryan might need to go to sleep.
Is that the spaceflight enthusiast?
That is a
Yeah.
spaceflight enthusiast, D-Pod
Oh.
Dolphin Productions.
Yeah, that guy's great.
He is great. He really knows a lot about maps.
Yeah.
Hey, Giesel, thank you for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Camille, thank you so much for the support there. They say, watching in the studio of our local broadcaster in the Netherlands. Neat. Hup Holland. Blake Alexander, again, they say, Kevin, do not change the cat sound. Thanks for the super chat, Blake. Shiloh, thank you for the support. Oh, God. It's why is it so many? It doesn't.
It sounds like a cat being thrown into a blender.
It doesn't. You don't know what that. No. It sounds like It sounds like 6 very happy cats. Shiloh is saying, "Can we have a live stream of EJ wrenching and muttering under his breath at Jack?" I think that's gold member content. I think that's gold.
I'll do
member
that.
Content.
I'll do it.
And Man's on Mars, thanks for the super. They say, what's the plan for NSF to cover the Neutron launch? How accessible is Wallops to NSF and photographers, etc.? Go Peter Beck. Oh, you better believe we're going to cover the heck out of Neutron when it's time. Wallops is a great launch site. It's an amazing launch site to view from, both as public and media. So
Hey, Jack.
that's going to be a treat. What's up?
And it also will be very visible when it lands back, because it's gonna be landing back on land, and they will not need any marine assets, right?
Yeah, because marine assets suck.
Yeah, right. I'm just making fun of the fact that it's probably gonna be landing on barges.
Yeah. Let's see. Looking at the flare stacks for New Glenn, Steve Choice Minis is asking, okay, where is the flare stack for the OLM at Starbase? Ha! That's how I know you're not an OG tank watcher, because there used to be a flare stack, not for the OLM, but for the suborbital tank farm. And then,
The
yeah,
methane
there
will
was-
be igniting the flare, right?
Yeah, then the methane ignited in the flare stack. Although that's not actually what happened. But that quote from the intro, if that was methane, that would be igniting in the flare stack, right? That's from when the flare stack went bye-bye because of the SN4 explosion and was replaced by the recondenser system. So they recondensed the methane rather than just burning it off.
You know where SpaceX uses a flare stack with Starship hardware, though?
Where?
Tell us.
McGregor.
Oh, yeah, good point.
You can watch it out on McGregor Live.
And I guess technically they still have the flare stack at Starbase, but it's a vent stack now. They just don't flare with it. They emergency vent with it sometimes. Although, no, that doesn't exist anymore because they completely dismantled the suborbital tank farm because, oh yeah, they're building a second pad.
There it is.
Sorry, my brain is mush.
See, you can see it. There's a flare stack.
Hey, McGregor Live exists. Space Coast Live exists. Hey, did you guys know that we do 3 24/7 live streams in addition to everything else that we do? And we can only do that because you support what we do, because y'all are the best? Well, now you know.
Oh, Sawyer.
What Sawyer do?
Dang,
Reach out.
savage.
Oh, that's
savage.
That's savage. You know, Sawyer, I was gonna say the thing at the end of the show just to make you happy, and also make $50. But you know,
make
now
$50. Prove
I
them
just
wrong.
don't know if I want $50 that bad now. Oh,
Fight it,
man.
Rook. Let's go. Eat the soap.
You know what? To heck with it. What are we most excited about for Starship Block 2? Jay, what are you most excited for Starship 33?
You said it.
I did. Now I get $50.
What was the question?
Starship Block 2, are you excited? What are you most excited for about Block 2?
It working. I'm serious. It working.
Yeah.
I want to see a starship come back down and land.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sometimes, like, I don't know how to say.
Oh,
Who is it? Who is it? Who is
it's the
it?
jail. There you go. Jack, you are in the jail.
We have cut Jack in half and put his upper torso in the jail cell.
Ah! My torso!
Now back to 2.5 men.
That was too good.
Gotcha, man.
That was too good.
Did Sawyer really? Sawyer was the one that pervaded this whole thing?
I suppose, yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the back channel. He says, "Send me your Venmo." So heck yeah, let's go.
Oh, Blake just did it right there. All right.
Just here,
$50 super.
you know, with all
Blake,
dollars.
Thank you. Holy cow! Oh, even Leica appreciates it. What are you doing? Dad is on TV right now. Dad's on TV. I love you. I love you. I love you. But Dad's on TV, okay? Blake, thank you for the $50. What are you doing? I am not climbing hardware. What is this?
You are now.
Yes, you're a good dog. Camille also with an $11 super. Thank you so much. They say still waiting for the NSF pet meetup. And Cranial, thank you for becoming a Pad Rat member. Oh my God, what are you doing?
Nice, Sawyer.
Also,
Okay, I got
thank you so much to our flight engineers and our launch directors. I'm gonna do it. Kevin wanted to do gifts, but I'm thanking the flight engineers and the launch directors because without them and the rest of the members, this little puppy right here wouldn't have no dog food because her daddy would be broke. Yes. No, for real. Thank you so much. Come on, it's over.
Someone clip that, please.
Good job. For real though, thank you so much to all of our members. I say it all the time. We have the coolest dang job in the frickin' universe. So yeah, thank you so much. So we have like 2 minutes until This Week in Spaceflight premieres. What do we do?
I can just keep laughing.
No, that sounds terrible. Sawyer is happy in chat. I'm glad you're happy, Sawyer. Give me the money.
Not as happy as
who's
Leica,
that?
though.
Show
who's a happy
me
Look at
the money.
Who's a happy dog?
Show me the money. No.
Show me the money. Classic. Who's a good girl?
Such a good
yeah.
girl.
Yeah, she's a dog. She's actually from Starbase. Like, she showed up here at the bunkhouse one day as a little stray puppy covered in fleas and ticks. And Dan and Andrew were outside out front working on Danger Trailer, believe it or not. And then she wandered into our hearts. Anyways, that's Leica. Good girl. You filled a minute of air. Good job. Paying the bills. EJ, thanks for being on, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's always a privilege. Sorry for being a little spicy, but it's a flame trench. But I know being here. I know being here is a privilege, and I appreciate everybody giving me your time. Thank you.
Thanks, bud. We
stream on
always
Twitch,
appreciate you sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us, and movie references, and Zoidberg voice.
Got you. Oh, I got you, my friend.
Also, Alex, thanks for being on, buddy.
It's always a pleasure, and oh boy, so many things to talk about.
Also, thank you to Kevin for operating the stream. Thank you to Ship26 for dying finally. Thank you to Pat O because they said they wanted to be thanked in the back channel. I'm Jack Beyer for NSF. That's been this week's Flame Trench. Let's all go watch This Week in Spaceflight.
And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
RA-68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roger, planet.
Water towers, fly! Yes! Echo down to nominal.
Flight downside speed off. Bring in SPD off. Off. It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
Look at this!
Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed. We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Thanks. You bet. We don't need any more of these.